Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Santa, why are you there?
I'm here, sir.
Oh, I'm here. I'm having a good old time. Heidi Zimmerman is in the shop. He's feeling a bit emotional today, and so am I. I'm feeling a bit wistful.
Oh, yeah. Heidi loves Akiem Hicks.
Yeah, man. And don't you?
Yeah, but I think Heidi loves Akiem Hicks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
she would have his child, like some in vitro kind of shit. Not that Heidi's old, because she's
No,
certainly not.
no.
She's a beautiful woman, but I
She's
think
gorgeous.
she would take hormones to have his child. That's how much she loves him.
I hear you, man. And I've actually been cutting a bunch of video of Akeem because I was wanting to do a tribute video. I'm having trouble downloading it, so hopefully I can during the course of the show to share it with everybody. But as I'm watching this tape of Akeem, it just reminded me of what a force he was. And Jordan on the Twitter, on one of my posts, talked about how he was a bit wistful too, and a renewable and rechargeable review says Hicks is ring chasing, and right, what who would blame him, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he
was born in
that.
like 88, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yes.
you know, he's 34 now, I guess.
Is he that old? Oh my goodness. Huh?
33, 34. I'm pretty sure he was born in 88. So
Okay.
I don't fault him for signing with Tampa. I'm glad he didn't go to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that would have really not only broken my heart, but maybe pissed off, because I got over the Adrian Amos thing pretty quickly. I was upset that the Bears allowed that to happen because I really wanted Adrian to team up with Eddie Jackson for the next 5-7 years, but that didn't happen. With Akeem, I know that he's on the downside of his playing career. He may never play as well as he did in those prime years with the Chicago Bears, where he was averaging 8-9 sacks a season, but those numbers don't tell the entire truth of the impact that he had on the Bears defense. And so I don't think he'll play at that level for Tampa Bay, but he should play at a high level and maybe get his ring. So we'll see.
Well, I hope he doesn't. I hate to, to be the asshole that says that, but A, I don't want Tom Brady to win another ring, and B, I want the Bears to win the ring. So,
Yeah.
And I know everyone says, the Bears have no shot. Well, you know what? It's fucking June. It's actually still May for another few hours. So yes, I can dream about the Bears winning the Super Bowl. And I refuse to quit that dream until the season manifests and tells me otherwise.
Until proven otherwise.
Right.
How many games will it take for them to lose before you say, okay, it's not going to happen this year?
Well, you never know. It's like, like last year, I've said so many times, it felt like just for Fields to complete a pass was just so difficult at times because of that bullshit offense. So if it passes the eye test, even if the schedule, or I'm sorry, not the schedule, the record isn't going the way it is, you think, well, maybe we could get hot. But if it's is like a shit show like last year, pretty early, even if you're rooting for like something else to happen, as I was and you were, but I guess. So there's no short answer for it. It just depends how the season starts to play out. Is the team meshing? Is it difficult to score? Is it difficult to stop people? Because your record could be 2-0, but better. We've seen that a few times where they started out early, but that they're, like you said, you're going to be shitty the rest of the week, worrying about what went wrong despite the victory. You say that in the opening, essentially. So there's no way to answer that until September, October, November,
Dan, the picture I used of you for the video feed of our show, King Pookie Nation says that you look like Edward Scissorhands. And you know what? I have to kind of agree, without the makeup, without the white pancake makeup that Johnny Depp wore, but your hair and your face looks like you could play Edward Scissorhands.
That's a compliment for me, because Johnny Depp's a much better looking guy than I am. I will say that I think I sent it to you too. I recently linked back up with my cousin, which I know in some regards is a dangerous proposition because he'd become hooked on drugs and it's stolen from me and such, but he is my fucking family, so right or wrong, I've tried to, to be back around him and stuff. And he sent me a picture from '99 the other day. I don't remember it at all, but I look like John Cusack in it.
Yeah, you sent it to me, and I'm showing it to our followers right now. You're wearing the shades. You got a short haircut.
Those were my glasses, by the way. They were prescription.
Okay, you do look really cool. It looks like you're taking a shit. And you're looking really cool. Were you taking a shit?
I think that's a Little Caesars logo on the wall.
Oh, really?
If you look to the right, I believe that's what that says, because other than that, I don't know how old this, obviously the photo, I know how old it was. Obviously it appears to be in terrible condition. So I couldn't tell what kind of shirt I was wearing. And it looks like Little Caesars though. I don't know why I would have a picture of taken of me in Little Caesars, but whatever.
That is funny. Oh man. But getting back to Akiem Hicks, do you think he's worth $10 million a year? Because that's the reported deal that he signed with the Bucks.
It's hard for me to answer this, but if I'm taking all emotions and all my fandom out of the question, probably not. But if you tell me to attach like what I think about him and like listening to him talk and the years of service with the Bears, and then I'm going to say, yeah. Bring him back for that. Why don't the Bears offer him that? But if you're just talking from a business sense, there's no family, there's no emotion, there's just you cut or you don't, then I don't think I could pay him that.
I'm being told by Jordan and J-Rock in the chat that it's a deal that goes up to $10 million with incentives. Thanks everyone that
that's fair then.
Yeah.
It's like if he plays a certain amount of games, makes a certain amount of tackle, yes, then that's a good deal.
I agree, but I don't think that's money that should have been paid by the Bears for Akiem Hicks. This is about finding young talent, even if it is at the expense of having a dominant figure in the middle like Akiem Hicks and somebody who is, for the most part, generally a very positive locker room presence. And I love Akiem Hicks, but there were a few times where he said or did things that were, not in my coaching playbook, not kosher. For instance, throwing his helmet. He did that in a game, getting some dumb penalties. You recall those, Dan? Your memory is much better than mine.
I can remember penalties. I don't remember a specific sequence where he threw the helmet.
Yeah.
So, going back to the opening, I guess I blacked that out.
You blocked out what? The bad stuff by Hicks?
Yeah, that where Akeem threw the helmet.
Yeah.
I don't recall that. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I want to say it was at a game that I was at.
I'm sure it happened. I just don't remember.
But, regardless of that, the guy is a football player. He's a man. He is,
Not a fan of Tom Waddle. He's not a fan of Tom
No,
Waddle.
he's not. He is not at all. So, I just, he to me in this video that I was cutting, oh, look at this. It's fucking downloading. So I can play it in about 5 minutes or so. To me, he epitomizes Chicago Bears defensive lineman. That mean streak, the guy was a scary dude. When he's been mic'd up and you've been able to hear the stuff that he says in the trenches and how fired up he reminds me of the 85 Bears, Singletary. We're going to party here. And all of those, scary things that football players say, he epitomized that to the nth degree. I really, really think that the Bears should do something special for him. Maybe not this upcoming season, but perhaps when he announces his retirement, perhaps, maybe at the new stadium, they'll have a ring of honor. Hicks definitely deserves to be on a ring of honor. Or I don't know what, but they definitely need to at least give the poor guy a bobblehead. You know what I mean? Do you feel the same way? Do you think that something special should be done for him?
Yeah, he was a good player for a long time. I think he joined us in 16.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
2016, yes.
So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So he gave you 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, only one of them was actually a playoff season, but it's not a mark against his play or his effort.
Right.
The defense was really good in 2017, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Akeem was a very good player for a long time for the franchise. I hate to see him go. And I wouldn't be bothered by him being in a quote-unquote ring of honor type deal either.
Yeah, the one of the things that I noticed in that first season, the 2018 season, when I went out to Bourbonnais, I thought he looked heavier than he did in 16 and 17. I was worried about that. He did fortunately play at a very high level, and the weight didn't impede his play or impact his play at all. But I do believe that by the time 2019 happened and the injury started to mount, the loss of playing time started to mount, I think that it may have had something to do with his weight. What do you think about that?
Well, not wanting to fat shame anybody because of my own situation, but
I'm not saying he was fat. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, but for a football player, even if he is down low up front in your defensive line, he did appear to be a bit heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who am I to call someone fat or too heavy? I'm just saying Akeem did sort of look like that's one of the things. They could have told him to drop 15 easily, I think.
Yeah. You can be such a nice guy sometimes, Dan. I mean,
I feel like a hypocrite if I sit here and say, boy, Akeem, you should drop 15 pounds. Well, look in the fucking mirror, Dan,
Oh, you're not a professional football player.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't want to yell this at Akiem Hicks, but I think maybe, I don't know if it's fair to say that his weight contributes to his injuries, but I think it is a fair assessment to surmise that maybe the weight was a detriment to his ability as he got older.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense, maybe
Sure.
his ability to either stay healthy or to make impactful plays that was probably hindered by the fact that he was a tinge bit heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sad. I'm like with Heidi and a number of other people in the chat. I feel sad that this is official. I never really had any hope that he was going to be re-signed by this new regime, and I don't blame them at all. But man, I would love, like I said earlier, if he could retire as a Chicago Bear. He has no shot of making the Hall of Fame. But he should make the Chicago Sports Hall of Fame. Fucker was great, man. Let me play this video. It's about 4 minutes long. It's a tribute to Akiem Hicks. And what I wanted to do was splice together all of the sacks that he's had. I think he's had like 39 sacks in his career with the Chicago Bears. Somebody correct me if in the chat if I'm wrong with that number. But I ran out of time, so I was able to compile all of his sacks from his first 2 seasons as a Chicago Bear and included a soundbite from his final press conference with the Chicago Bears. So I'm dedicating this video to you and Heidi. Dan.
Is that the final press conference where he said, fuck you, Matt Nagy? Oh, we never got that one. That's right. We know he was thinking it.
Yes. You know what? That's a great point, Dan, because I think when he has his first press conference, and if there's Chicago media there, they're going to ask him about that. And he said at that press conference, I'm going to withhold my words until
the season's over.
Yeah. And so he's going to have his first press conference. And in fact, what I hope is that some enterprising reporter, Jason Leisure or Patrick Finley or somebody nabs this interview with Akeem. And so that way you get him nice and comfortable. And he's going to tell us secrets about what an imbecile Matt Nagy was. I mean, one of the things that he did, he missed that last game, didn't even make the trip to Minnesota. And he just was on Twitter hitting like on every negative comment about the Chicago Bears. So he already started via social media, letting people know what he thought about Matt Nagy and portions of the Bears organization. But he also loved the Chicago Bears. He loved Chicago.
And his mom's a Bears fan.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's why he said he was so happy to come here, because his mom was like pressuring him.
Yeah.
Go to the fucking Bears.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'll play this video and just say the caveat is that it's only halfway done. I'm going to find time to put together some other brilliant plays by Akiem Hicks and tag him on it on social media, and hopefully he'll look at it and get as wistful as I am having done this. So here goes. This is a tribute to Akiem Hicks.
Second down and 9. Stafford in trouble. Down he goes. Back at the 22-yard line, Akiem Hicks with his first sack of the season.
And this is just 4 down, so this is a good sign for the Bears' pressure when you can get there with just the 4. See if Akeem comes from the inside there, just driving that, pushing that pile, working against 2 different guys. Good, relentless bull rush back to Matthew Stafford.
Hicks, the former New Orleans Saint, New England Patriot.
Empty backfield, they use it very little in Minnesota. Bradford is sacked. Back at the 13-yard line by Akiem Hicks.
The Monsters are out tonight in Chicago. We challenged them in the pregame. They have got to get after the Vikings offensive line to have a chance. And you're going to see Akiem Hicks, who at times looks like a great defensive lineman, has played very well tonight.
Man rush, Floyd, and help comes to Floyd for a sack for Akiem Hicks.
Extra men on the rush. Colts pick it up. Down goes Luck. In the arms of Akiem Hicks. It'll bring up third.
Stafford still 5-5. Under pressure, a penalty flag is thrown. Multiple flags come in. They'll sack Stafford for a huge loss.
Away with his first half. We're tied at 3. Blitz. Ryan stands in. Ryan goes down. Hicks didn't miss that time, Charles. 5-man rush. Ryan in trouble, and Ryan goes down. Akiem Hicks started the party. Going on. 4-man rush, and Bradford could not get away. Akiem Hicks didn't get much of him, but got enough to get him down on Minnesota, trying to take the lead at the 2-minute warning, down 2-0. Bradford in trouble, and he goes down. The pocket got pushed backwards by Akiem Hicks on the goal line.
The other side, he's doing a good job as well.
2nd and 13. Flacco is sacked. Eddie Goldman. Akiem Hicks. It was Hicks who got there first.
10 for the Panthers. Protection holds up initially. Newton dumped again.
3rd and 10. Drew Brees gets sacked by Akiem Hicks.
Excellent pass rush from the interior lineman, Akiem Hicks.
That can make the Lions a consistent contender. 2nd and 9. Stafford's going to go down here, and he's brought down by Akiem Hicks. So one guy who can destroy a football game up there for the Bears in terms of those who are healthy enough to play here.
if I do end up leaving, I'll miss it here. I truly love my time. So sad because I do anything for him. But that's the way it goes.
Do you feel like you put yourself into that lexicon conversation in terms of, great Bears defenders and the tradition of defense here in Chicago?
I wonder. I'll say this. Whenever I talk to the guys that came before me, just for them to say that they appreciate my game is enough for me, because that's who you're looking to impress. They played it, they lived it, Talking to those guys, Tommy Harris, Dan Hampton, it's exciting for them to even watch me play, So I'm happy.
You see why I am a bit emotional after having worked the last several hours on this video. I'm missing him already. I want to give him a big hug. I want to give him a Heidi hug.
It's worth pointing out that he mentioned Dan Hampton at the end. I've told you this before, but Ed and Dan both said, even during 2018, that this was their opinion. I'm not just saying this. And they both agreed with each other that the only reason Khalil Mack was having success was because of Akeem up front. They said that Akeem was the best player on the team that season, even more so than Mack, and Mack fed off of him.
Yeah.
And you could argue that when Akeem sort of started getting banged up the next season, Mack, without him, could never do anything. In comparison with 18, I mean.
Thank you for the compliments in the chat regarding the video. What bugs me about being a Bears fan, really, in with a lot of the Chicago teams, that we've had so many great players who have never tasted championships, and now Akiem Hicks is the latest player to put on that list. I started as a kid following Chicago sports. And when I started, Ernie Banks was in his 13th season with the Cubs, and there was no way he was ever going to win a World Series with the Cubs. And that was the first of so many superstars with the Bears. And thankfully, Walter got his, although that had a huge blemish on it because he was so unhappy immediately after the game, And what did you think about that, Dan, when Payton was so upset that he didn't get to score a touchdown, that it ruined that moment for him, that he finally got his ring?
If you dive deeper into that, there's some people that said that he was kind of, I don't want to say jealous, because A, I don't want to besmirch Walter fucking Payton, and two, he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not gonna badmouth Walter. But there were some people that thought, because he was the franchise for so long, I mean, the franchise, the face of the franchise, and then suddenly you've got the defense, you've got the fat rookie, you've got Jim McMahon, and there are all these other people that are somewhat overshadowing him in a pop culture kind of way, frivolously, that he felt a little bit conflicted about that, I guess is the best way I could say it, that he was a little bit pissed off about that. Really? I'm still here. Who cares if this fucking fat rookie caught a touchdown or whatever against the Packers? And I'm not trying to besmirch Fridge. I'm just telling you that's the way some people have put words in Walter's mouth. So with regards to the touchdown, so much of me says, dude, you won the Super Bowl. You were on some really horrible teams. Be happy. But there was McMahon after the game saying, we should have got him the ball. I feel horrible about this. It meant something to him. We should have got him in there.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Jim change the play call. Instead of giving it to the Fridge for that touchdown, give it to Walter, and then to see Mike Ditka's reaction. I have a long list of things that I disagreed with Mike Ditka about. And one of the things that he was an egomaniac, man. And he wanted to create the sensation that was William Perry. He wanted to do it for, number one, to stick it up Buddy Ryan's ass, because he really wanted William Perry drafted, and Buddy Ryan wouldn't give him a fair shake for the first half of the season, wouldn't put him in the games and so forth. So that was part of the reason Ditka used him on offense. And then when Perry had that success, Ditka continued to ride that because it made him look like the genius. And Ditka would always make fun of Bill Walsh, the genius. Well, Bill Walsh really was a genius in terms of offensive football, offensive concepts, and so forth. Ditka was a motivator. He was a rah-rah coach. He would instill fear in players, but after a while, that gets old, especially when you're having success. And so the Bears players, I think towards the end, most of the roster was like, I'm on Team Buddy Ryan. Even members of the offense were on Team Buddy Ryan, and so Ditka kind of destroyed that opportunity for Walter to have his moment, his well-deserved moment, because he was so interested in giving William Perry his touchdown. And there are reports that he went into the game thinking, I'm going to get Perry a receiving and a rushing touchdown. And it's like, why the fuck you want to do that, man? Well, you should be thinking first and foremost about Walter. And now in some subsequent interviews, and after the passing of Walter, I think the timing is, Ditka has said that he regretted that. That's the biggest regret of his career. So I
believe it too. I don't think he's just
sincere.
saying that.
I hope he's sincere about that.
I do believe that. I mean, he was saying that in the 90s. But I just want to interject too,
please,
because I called William the fat rookie and things like that, and we're kind of downplaying the fact that the 85 Bears are still being talked about today has a lot to do with William Perry.
Oh yeah,
and he does I know that the rest of his career, he battled weight issues and he wasn't scoring touchdowns anymore and things like that. But be that as it may, for that one, I mean, he was okay the rest of the way. It's not like he was terrible. But for that one season, he had a lot to do with the nation catching fire with that and being so pop culture and so remembered. Like he had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't honestly intellectually downplay that. We probably don't give him enough credit. Maybe it's for frivolous reasons. But having said that, he was part of what made that team so fun outside of Chicago on a national level.
Yeah. And on a global level. I mean, you talk to a lot of the people from across the pond. I don't think Chris Watts is with us tonight. I haven't seen any mentions from him in our chat, but I've talked to other people from across the pond, and they will talk about William Perry in like reverential tones. And I know that era of the Bears, the 85 Bears, really helped make the game more palatable to global audiences. And the NFL could use another team like the Chicago Bears, who had Beatles and Elvis Presley type of popularity and adoration from fans. So maybe it'll happen under Ryan Poles. Let's hope. Any other Bears that you can think of besides Akiem Hicks that you would have loved to have celebrated a Super Bowl? I got one more name for you, Kyle Long. I always felt really bad for Kyle Long. He played on some terrible teams, and his brother was on 2 Super Bowl championship teams, and Kyle would tweet out, I can't wait for my time to come and stuff. And clearly it's not going to happen. Even if he somehow returns to the Kansas City Chiefs, I just think his body has given up on him. Do you have any other names that you would, and I'll ask people in the chat too, any other names that you, Jordan immediately comes up with a good one. Thomas Jones, the running back. Absolutely, Jordan. Abso-fucking-lutely. Thomas Jones had a heroic game against the Colts in that Super Bowl, the Lovey Super Bowl game. And unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. And can you think of any, Dan?
If I'm rewriting a script, then Mike Brown's not hurt in Super Bowl 41 and is playing and is helping us win a Super Bowl. The guy gave us everything he fucking had. We mentioned him a few weeks ago. I love Mike Brown, and I know a lot of people don't like Cutler, but I'll put Jay on that list because I was such a big fan of his arm, and I really I love the trade, as I've told everyone before. So I really wanted Jay, like that 2010 team, somehow to win it all and to beat Green Bay along the way. Like I could have been done if the Bears had won in 2010 and beat the Packers and go to the Super Bowl and beat Pittsburgh. Like they could go 3-13 the rest of my life and I would still be smiling. Like I really believe that to be true.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. So I was cutting these highlights. zipping through plays. There were a couple plays that I just stopped to pause that weren't Akiem Hicks related, and some of those were Jay Cutler. And I remember thinking to myself during that era how badly I wanted Jay Cutler to win a Super Bowl for the Bears, just so that all of the people who just said negative things. I'm the type of guy that if you say something negative about the Chicago Bears, even if it's true, I get really upset with you. These are my kids. This is my Chicago Bears. I'm the only one that can spank them. So Jay was one of those guys that now I hate. I'm back to hating Jay Cutler, just like prior to him being a Bear. I'm back to just feeling like he's an asshole. He's got.
I disagree. I don't care about his politics. We don't agree politically.
It's more than politics.
He's fun to listen to, though. He's got charisma. Like, I'm surprised he never got a network deal to go back and announce games again.
Because he's an asshole.
NBC just fired Drew Brees because he was dull.
Yes.
Jay Cutler's not dull. And actually, I was thinking of this when I was listening to your Akiem Hicks highlights there. I always thought Moose Johnston was even better than Aikman.
I would agree with that.
I don't know why Moose never really got a push there. It's like he got to do a few playoff games early on, and then they're like, you and Kenny Albert and Goose can go to like the fifth game. I thought that was a good trio together, I thought.
I think it was Jordan on Twitter. He and I were comparing broadcasts, our favorite broadcast crews. And, there is a lack of really talented broadcast groups outside of a two or three. Would you agree with that? Who are the up and coming TV analysts, color men, guys that you think, could end up being worthy of calling a Super Bowl?
I think Fox could have given that job to Gus Johnson.
Yeah. He's promising.
Again, there's only been one African-American, and that's Greg Gumbel, to announce a Super Bowl. And Gus does their college football.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they wouldn't have thought about to make him number one or two. Maybe they will. I can't think of his name now. Kevin something is going to move up and take Buck's spot. Maybe they'll make Gus the second guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about up-and-coming announcers, but you're right. It just felt like 20, 30 years ago that everyone was stacked, even with non-players, like just broadcasters, that everyone that was deep on the bench, and now that's like the third team or something is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like their first two teams are good, then you're like, oh, Akeem Talib, oh no.
Mm-hmm. There was the former president of ESPN was quoted in an interview that ESPN way overpaid for Tom Brady, that it didn't make financial sense, that there's no way that he can bring back to the organization the type of money that they're shelling out. And I was saying that since day one. I am not going to watch a game on television just because it's being called by Tom Brady. When Tony Romo first came in, people were like, man, Romo's doing a great job and so forth. I didn't go out of my way to watch a Romo announced game. I want to watch the games and teams that I want to watch. I don't give a shit who's calling them. Yes, I will compliment the good announcers, and I think Tony Romo is one of them. And I will disparage the ones who are not good, and there are a lot of them. But do you think that Tom Brady is worth, what was it, $385 million?
I think Fox just wanted to have somebody electric in there, a name, and they hit a home run in that regard. I would say Brady will definitely be there after this season.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Fox, then maybe they can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like, to me, in my lifetime, probably just Madden and Summerall would be like, okay, what game are they doing today? Even if it was a matchup you didn't like, you'd watch it from Madden and Summerall. There's maybe Monday Night Football at one time.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the days of Howard Cosell, and I was a big Howard Cosell fan when he, the very first season, Keith Jackson, who went on to college football broadcasting fame. He did the first season before they moved Frank Gifford into the play-by-play role. And that crew of Gifford, Cosell, and Dandy Don Meredith was special because they transcended sports play-by-play. They were just entertaining on their own. But we don't have a crew like that anymore. By the way, I want to interrupt what we're talking about right now because, PJ has come up with a really good list of guys that he'd love to have seen win a Super Bowl. Tommy Harris, Mike Brown, Urlacher. I know you're not a big Urlacher fan. Tillman, Briggs, Thomas Jones, Olin Kreutz, Matt Forte, absolutely Matt Forte, and of course, two of my favorite Bears of all time, Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers. That is a great.
I have another
list.
name for you.
Please do.
Because he missed the '85 Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have seen an '88 because I wanted us to go so badly and we lost to San Francisco. But I would have loved to have seen Al Harris get a ring considering he missed.
Yeah.
Obviously Todd Bell too, but like Al was at least on the team and was making a huge contribution in '88 when they went to the championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Those are two great names. Todd Bell, I don't know what the hell happened. Whoever his agent was, I'd love that. Would be a good 30 for 30. The whole reason that those two guys held out on that Super Bowl year, they had
especially
to know,
when you've got Wilbur Marshall and Dave Duerson on your heels.
Yeah, they had to know that was going to be a Super Bowl year. I mean, after the Bears lost to the 49ers the previous season, I just knew it in my gut that the next year the Bears were going to go to the Super Bowl. And it was remarkable how cool, calm, and collected Mike Ditka was after that loss, because he knew it too. He knew it too. He didn't say the famous Bum Phillips line, you know, we knocked on the door, next year we'll tear it down. But he was saying that in a very almost corporate manner in the interviews that I saw of him back in '84. So, yeah, I would love to see a document or even a well-written article on those two guys, why they chose to hold out, and did they have any regrets at any point in the season? Like after the Bears beat the Dallas Cowboys, what was it, 42-0, and
44-0,
44-0. That was the game where everybody said, "Okay, this team is like unbelievably special." At that moment, were they calling their agents up and saying, "Hey, get me back on this fucking team. I don't care how much."
Just think about just off the top of my head, players that called it quits after ’84: Jim Osborne, Bash Nagel, Terry Schmidt.
Mike North favorite, good old number 44. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying there's a lot of these players, Bob Avellini, who was cut in the middle of '84, but still a lot of guys that were on that team when they were bad. I mean, late '70s, early '80s. Alan Page is another one I wish that could have hung around, even if he was just on the bench.
Yeah.
Just to get that guy a ring, considering all he went through with the Vikings.
Absolutely. Good point. Back to the broadcasting side of things, Tony Moy brings up Greg Olsen, and Greg Olsen is really getting good at the mic, as Tony says, and I think he has the potential to be one of those superstar broadcasters. He's young. He's got a lot of years ahead.
He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy. Yeah, he's somebody to keep an eye on. Leo the Factor says that he likes Louis Riddick too. You know what? That would be kind of a great crew. I would love to see a Riddick and Olsen and a really good play-by-play guy do, some type of prime time game. I should be a fucking TV executive.
See, I was just thinking the same thing, but because they have a great relationship, put Cutler and Olsen with a good play-by-play guy and make it a three-way team.
Yep. Switching back to the other subject, Laz brings up Doug Plank as a guy who
right, yeah.
Of course, man. That's an obvious one, Laz. Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't think of that. Here's the guy that the 46 defense was named out. He inspired Buddy Ryan in some ways, at the very least to name it after him, because they brought in that strong safety position to basically play a linebacker position, and the poor guy never got his opportunity to wear a ring. And I'm not sure the Bears have ever done anything special for Doug Plank. When we had him on here, thanks to Greg Braggs booked him on a Barroom Show, and he talked about that the Bears were just not very good at dealing with the veterans who had left the team. Never gave them job opportunities. Sometimes didn't call them for special commemorative events and stuff. They called everybody for the 100th anniversary, although there were a couple of Bears for the 100th anniversary who complained that they weren't called back. And one of them was Thomas Jones. That's right.
No lovey.
Bears. Why do I love the Bears so much? They're like a hot chick who won't return your calls.
I'd say another name of somebody that was on really good Bears teams, but never good enough to get over the hump. But it's after 85. And I thought if he'd have played his whole career here, I think we would have beloved him. But he kind of bounced around a little bit toward the end, was Mark Carrier, the safety.
Yeah. 10 interceptions.
Hard-hitting motherfucker. Got a lot of interceptions.
10 in his rookie season, Dan. Isn't that
and
amazing?
He'd knock your fucking head off, too.
Yep. Jeremy says that he wants you on the play-by-play, Draft Dr. Phil and Eric Kramer on color commentary, and Braggs on the sideline. That's a good crew there, Jeremy. I like that.
Eric's
crew.
way better than me, and this isn't a slight at Phil. I just don't know if three of us could, I mean, Phil would be better on a two-man, is what I'm saying. I don't know if Phil
can
do
go
the three.
on a little bit. Yeah, it's like he'll still be talking about the opening play of the game in the third quarter, but I don't know. That would be interesting. And
please, again, I want to say that I have the utmost admiration for Phil. So,
oh yeah, we all do.
I don't want this to be construed as me bashing Phil.
We're not bashing Phil. All right. What did I want to say about? Oh,
how about Anthony Thomas? There's another Bear.
The A-Train. How many good seasons did he have? 3 with the Bears?
I thought, man, he was better. Like 01, he's NFC Rookie of the Year. 02, he almost got 1,000 yards, but he missed the last 4 games, I think. Mm-hmm. But he still had like 900 yards and missed the last 4. 03, the team was bad, and he still got over 1,000. And then in 04, they signed Thomas Jones, so he didn't really get to run that much.
Yeah. Bearman reminds us of Doug Buffon, another Bear who never got a ring. Yeah.
Or Tom Waddle.
But Doug, I saw play so many games during the course of his career. I don't think Dick Butkus would have been the Dick Butkus, not to the degree that he was, if it wasn't for Doug, who did a lot of the dirty work and allowed Butkus to just roam around and create spectacular plays, whether it was intercepting balls, free pathways to quarterbacks and running backs to knock the snot out of them. Doug Buffon was a special guy, and one of those guys who loved the organization, despite the fact that he knew what you and I know, that the organization has a lot of fucking problems.
Well, before you segue, let me say 2 things, please.
Please.
Gale Sayers, definitely, other than Butkus, are probably the 2 that deserve it more than anybody with the organization. Just give them a playoff game, for fuck's sake. Just give them a meaningful game during their regime. It's just a sin that the Bears were so shitty with the best player in offense of the league and the best player in defense in the league together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just can't fathom that. Only the Bears could fuck that up. Only the Bears could take the 85 Bears and only get 1 out of it. What was the other thing I was going to say? But it was to do with the players that I don't want to lose my thought, because we'll segue off of it and then that'll be that. But maybe I already. Oh, I know what I was going to say. And this is, again, I feel like everyone should know that I love Walter Payton, that I cried when Walter Payton died.
Mm-hmm.
I felt terrible seeing it. Remember that press conference that he gave when he told the world that he was sick?
Yeah.
The one where Jan Greco made the joke about him because he didn't know he was sick.
Right.
Like, just seeing that, I'm like, oh man, Walter's going to die. It's horrible, but I wanted to point out, and it's almost sacrilege, but if you go back, Walter fumbled in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Walter fumbled in the Super Bowl, and he had a critical fumble in that Jay Schrader game the next year that maybe the Bears score, and they're in that game. And then by 87, one of the main parts of the reason we lose, other than the defense being spotted 14 and then just wilting, like, God. But anyway, but Neil Anderson was hurt.
Yeah.
By Walter, it really, from 85 to 86, he had fallen off significantly. Like age, remember, he was actually 1 year older than what he was telling us.
Yeah, that's right.
And
forgot about that.
By 86 to 87, the fall off was like so bad that you got to give Ditka credit for that. He wouldn't bench him.
Mm-hmm.
He put Neil Anderson at fullback, even though he knew that the team would have been better with Neil playing running back at that time. But so Neil was getting a lot of carries, but he got hurt at the end of the year. So it's all up to Walter. He has a good first half against Washington, but time caught up with him in the second half. And I'm just saying, like, I guess to bring it full circle, maybe Walter should have just, been happy to get that Super Bowl win. I mean, I get it. Like, you wanted to score. I think it was Gary Fensick that said, I would love to have had a pick six. But you got your ring, man. Be happy. Be happy. I love Walter. I'm not bad-mouthing him, but be happy. But if you're Mike Ditka, give him the fucking ball. I get it. Give him the ball.
I agree with 100% with what you're saying. And I think, again, this was a Chicago Bears, a stubborn Chicago Bears organization that just kept giving him the ball. I'll never forget, he's being interviewed in the locker room as he's putting his stuff away, and he had like 30 carries in that particular game afterwards. And he was asked by a reporter.
Not long is the answer.
Exactly. You remember it better than I do.
They asked him, like, he's like, man, my head's still spinning.
Mm-hmm.
How long can you go on like this, Walter? Not long.
Yeah, it was like,
because like his head was still fucking spinning after the game. He's got 30 plus carries and they lose 10-7 or whatever. And I think that was the 81 team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, helps on the way with McMahon the next season. So
yeah, there you go. And fascinating stuff. Back to those clips. I'm sorry, I just was reminded of this because Don Bird, our resident Lions a go-go fan, that one clip where there was a clip in that highlight package I put together of Hicks sacking Stafford, and there were 2 flags called on that play. Both of them were holding calls on the Lions, and despite those 2 holding calls, Hicks gets through and gets Stafford. I mean, I should look up those stats. I wonder how many stats he had against Matt Stafford and the other NFC quarterbacks. He feasted on that terrible Lions offensive line, because the Lions really did have a bad offensive line for years, and Hicks took advantage of that. And
let's not talk any smack, though, because I know a lot of this is before Akeem got here, but from like 2013, like after Lovey, there was a period where the Lions won like 7 straight from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that ever happened before, ever.
Yeah.
So I still don't feel like, oh, let me poke my chest out and say the Lions suck. They were kicking our asses for a little bit. Now, thankfully, we've gotten that turned back around. But
yeah, that's true.
But still, they were kicking our asses during the Mark Trestman, John Fox days.
Right. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions made a leap this year and started to play closer to 500 football, because they've got a very talented roster in most position groups. There's still certain areas, Don Burr likes to brag about the offensive line. If there are any injuries to the offensive line, then that offensive line of the Detroit Lions is going to look like one of the worst offensive lines, because they've got no depth back there, at least based on what I know at this point of their roster development. But they have added some weapons, and we know that Goff is not a great quarterback, but if he's got protection and with
he's had a 500-yard passing game before.
That's right. And with the weapons that he has now, and DeAndre Swift appearing to move into his maturity, and he may not drop that touchdown pass in the last few seconds to give the Bears a victory. So I'm a little bit worried about the Lions, I have to say, just because the Bears are really in a rebuild. Brian Poles may not want to say it, but they're really in a rebuild. And I know that, Dan, you have a much optimistic
I have
view.
more optimism, again, without beating the same talking points, because I think our coaching staff is so much better than the coaching staff we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Justin Fields is going to play significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
And that the defense could be above average, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have better offense, you have better coaching,
mm-hmm.
certainly better quarterback play, and an easier schedule. I don't understand how those things don't. I mean, there's still people saying the Bears are going to win 3 games this year.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of that.
This is the one year that I feel like I should, like I normally, anytime I go against that, like, oh, there's no chance the Bears are going to, I remember everyone was predicting Green Bay to win the championship game. And of course I was running my mouth the whole week saying, don't count us out yet, blah, blah, blah. But every time I'm always going against the flow of the water to tell you that the Bears could do this, I'm always wrong. But I honestly feel like this time the sun could be shining on us. What was it Wesley Snipes said? Even the sun shines on a dog's ass some days. And I think this could be our season where the sun shines on our fucking ass. A season where maybe we don't deserve to make the playoffs because we're not that good, but we still fucking make it anyway. Yeah. It happens to other teams.
It does. And it could happen to the Bears. I'm a little bit more skeptical, just simply because there is so much turnaround. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is Justin Fields. And so maybe that's a good this is a good transition to Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to make great strides this season. But one of the challenges that he has in front of him is that outside of Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney, the rest of the people he's throwing to are like all new, and it takes a while to build chemistry. Can he build that chemistry fast enough to win football games? That's a hard thing, even for veteran quarterbacks who have been in the league for a long time. That's a hard thing to do. So,
but our team, I think, is going to know how to run the ball now.
That is one of those pluses, one of the pros that you can put. Absolutely. Different play calling, a commitment to the run.
I bet you we're 55-50 run first over pass, or 55-45.
I see. It's hard to say that, Dan, because if we're behind, if we get off, if this defense is not working on
secondary is better already on paper.
That is true.
I think in reality, in every sense of the word, I'm not saying Jalen Johnson's going to be playing at the twos. He's going to be starting opening day. We know that they're punishing him where he missed that first voluntary OTA. He's going to be starting. The rookie's going to be on the other side. You're probably going to have Graham in there as Thomas Graham as the nickel, maybe.
Yes.
Because they seem to have that's already better than the other team. Mm-hmm. And back to a 4-3 should help Robert Quinn even more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm completely so subjective that I'm ignoring the fire surrounding the house here. And I'm just like in the house chilling. I don't know. I just think that the Bears can win this year. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but I think they can be heavily competitive. I honestly believe that to be true.
Well, we're going to talk about Jordan Fields, and a lot of what we're talking about now is a part of this. I want to share a tweet that Art by Nike sent me via DM. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen here. And this is a really good point that was made by Elise at AJ Davis 22800. He writes in his tweet, the Bears quarterback coach Andrew Janocko was a quarterback at Pitt when Bears offensive coordinator Luke Getsy was offensive assistant. Getsy is a Moorhead disciple. Justin was supposed to go to Penn State because of Joe Moorhead. No, these hirings were not an accident. Let's see how it translates on the field. So there is some synergy going on here for the Chicago Bears that I think could really work in favor of Justin Fields. I think that what we're going to see from what the coaching staff is providing Justin Fields is going to be so different from what has happened before. I mean, it is so obvious that Matt Nagy was a complete dunce in terms of developing quarterbacks. And I wouldn't, everybody is buddy in the NFL. If Andy Reid was not buddies with Matt Nagy, I don't think Matt Nagy would find an NFL coaching job.
I agree 1,000%.
Right. So
that's nepotism. The definition of nepotism is that right there.
Yep, indeed. So in order to discuss this, the Justin Fields, I wanted to frame it around Chris Sims, your buddy Chris Sims.
Even Chris Sims thinks he can play better this year.
That is right. I've got the list here. I think he released his top 20 quarterbacks or 21 quarterbacks. No, not top 21, from 20 to 40 last week. He was supposed to release the top 20 today. So what I have here up on the screen is his 21 through number 40. At 21, he's got Daniel Jones. At 22, he's got Zach Wilson. And at 23, he's got Justin Fields.
That's a sin that Justin is behind those two guys.
I agree 100%. 100%. I agree with him that Fields should be above Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Jameis Winston, Mitchell Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold is at 32, and Geno Smith, 33. Tyler Huntley.
Wait, Geno Smith? Who's he starting for?
For the Seahawks.
No way. He's the starter?
He is right now.
He can't. No, that won't happen. There's no way we're going to play Geno Smith this year. That's as bad as saying we're playing Mike Glennon.
I think we'll probably see Jimmy Garoppolo be the quarterback for the Seahawks, unless
no way they trade him to Seattle.
Unless they really want to play for that high draft pick to pick one of these stud quarterbacks that's coming out in the next draft. So,
but Geno Smith,
I know
he's from here, and he's terrible.
He is bad. He really
he's
is
terrible.
Bad. So I took a look at the stats of Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson and compared them with Justin Fields. So let us remember that Daniel Jones, he's in his last year was his third year as quarterback for the Green Bay New York Giants.
I wish he was with the Packers.
Yeah, really. Maybe someday, please. And his stats have just gone down since his rookie year. We had a relatively good rookie year. Have gone down since. He started 11 games last year. His completion percentage was higher than either Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. He did throw for about 500 more yards than Fields. He only had 3 more touchdowns. He had 3 fewer interceptions than Fields, and his quarterback rating was about 9 points higher than Justin Fields. But when you take into account that that's his third year, that Justin Fields was in his rookie season, didn't play with the number ones throughout training camp, didn't have a quarterback coach or not a quarterback coach, but an offensive coordinator, an offensive system to help him, then how can you put Daniel Jones ahead of Justin Fields? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I
concur.
And the same thing with Zach Wilson. His numbers, his completion percentage was below Justin Fields. He started 3 more games and only threw for 500 more yards. He only had 2 more touchdowns than Justin. He had more interceptions, and his passer rating was 5 points below Justin Fields. So let's give credit for Phil Simms for some things, but having him at 23 behind these 2 guys, I don't think he gets any credit for that. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe Zach Wilson turns it around. He's kind of like Justin in that sense that they're young, and you got to give them another season to see what plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Daniel Jones is entering the last year of his rookie contract.
Right.
It's kind of like Mitch in 2020. Like they're hoping that this is the year it comes together, but likely it won't because he hasn't shown anything yet. So they, on promise alone, both Wilson and Justin Fields should be ahead of Daniel Jones.
Agreed with that. So I got a little bit of sound of Phil Simms justifying his. Now,
is this Phil or Chris?
Did I say Phil?
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to contradict you. I didn't know if Phil had
you're correcting me. Thank you for doing that. It's Chris Simms, of course. And so this is Chris Simms. He's with Paul Burmeister on one of his podcasts, I guess. And this is Chris Simms talking about why he moved Justin Fields up to number 23.
Wow, you want to talk about a guy that really, maybe crapped on me a little bit last year? That'd be Justin Fields, and I'm happy to say it.
Yeah, from 39 to 23.
39 to 23.
And I just get the feeling that he impressed you more in Chicago than he did in Columbus.
He did.
How come?
Yeah, because I think, first off, the things I question about his throwing, which is, of course, to me is big. Man, he basically said, Chris Sims, shut up. You don't need to worry. Look at this. There's a spiral. Here it's on target. It's pretty good rhythm. Boom. He didn't overthrow all year. That would be the first thing I'd say. Like, I think when I go back and think about Ohio State, when he overthrew, he lost control of the ball. When he's smooth and he keeps his arm a little bit more compact, he never loses control of the ball. I mean, there's a lot of wow with Justin Fields. I think that's where you got to start. You got to start with wow. I mean, he made a lot of wow plays. And
wow, is he stupid? I mean, how can he look at Justin Fields' Ohio State tape and not be impressed by that? Yeah, there were some mechanical things that Justin Fields had at Ohio State, but his tape was outstanding. I don't understand Chris Sims. Chris Sims is an idiot, man.
And a guy that never did anything. I mean, I got to give him credit for overcoming a spleen injury on the field. So he's tough. But again, he was, at least you could say Phil, his dad, had just a remarkable Super Bowl. And, if Phil's telling me that Fields is struggling and isn't worth the fuck, then maybe I'll listen. But I don't know why we should, have to be lectured by Dan Orlovsky or Chris Sims, two guys that, I mean, again, Orlovsky ran out of the end zone and didn't realize it. And he's some fucking expert, and Dan Graziani or whatever. Like, why don't they just put us on there? I mean, fuck, they're putting on all of these scrub players or these experts.
Yeah.
I remember Sean Salisbury was the first one that they did that in my lifetime, where I'm like, this guy's so cocky and conceited, but was terrible as a player. I don't get it. Like, if you're going to lecture us and be condescending, then your resume should back up your fucking mouth.
I'm with you. Now, the guy with Sims was Paul Burmeister, and he actually made a couple of good points here.
First of all, he throws a great deep ball.
He does.
Going to do that quite a bit.
That's what you see.
Right?
I mean, yes.
And I also
That's
thought...
That's the wowness.
Right?
Yes.
Another wow. I mean, get him outside the pocket, let him run, let him move. And, I thought last year they didn't do it that often.
Right.
So if you have a head coach that recognizes he can throw the hell out of it down the field, and, boy, I'm going to let him get out and run around. I mean... The potentially showed year one, yes, but he might be in a better spot in terms of what they want him to do.
I don't disagree with you there.
Paul Burmeister, I think, should be the star there, and Chris Sims should be the guy cleaning the floor. So pretty obvious. I mean, he's got a great arm, and he should be moved out of the pocket. Lester Wildfang of one of the blogs in town posted something on Twitter, and I meant to capture it so that I could share here, but he had the quarterback rating for Justin Fields when he's sprinting out of the pocket, and it's like the best in the NFL, but there were only 13 play calls of Fields moving out of the pocket and throwing on plays that were planned that way. And so just the fact that we've got new play callers should move Justin Fields 10 spots in Sims's category here.
Yeah, new coach. That's the big thing.
You got it.
I can't convey that point enough. I mean, we had a guy that's, the cliche that, the curtain got pulled back and you saw who the wizard was. I mean, this guy had no credibility whatsoever as an NFL coach. And again, if it weren't for Andy Reid, he'd be like some middle school gym teacher or something.
Yeah, exactly.
This fucking guy's not worthy of coaching a fucking high school team as the head coach. I mean, maybe he could go to the XFL or the USFL.
Yeah, I mean, the people coaching there are high school coaches.
Mark Trestman did win a Canadian championship. Give him that.
He won
and he's
multiple.
In one of those leagues.
I think he won 4 or 5. But this is Sims talking about what he's worried about with Justin Fields.
If there was a negative about him last year, is just puts himself in danger a little too much. Sometimes you get tackled for -1 in the NFL, Justin Fields. That just,
Right.
Don't try to break the tackle, break somebody's ankles, and now you got 7 guys flying at you who are all trying to kill you. Like, sometimes you just got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and I'd like to see him know to fold them a little bit more.
At Cleveland, 9 sacks, maybe it was 6 out of 20 that day.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was also
Tough
one of
to
those
watch.
games where you go, that was one of those games for sure where we
Yeah.
go, they didn't have one run for the guy. It's Cleveland,
Right.
and they're fast as hell, and they never did anything to keep them off balance the
Right.
whole game.
Now, just as I'm saying something nice about Paul Burmeister, he brings up the 9 sacks at Cleveland. That wasn't Justin Fields' fault. I mean, come on. That's why I hate these national broadcasters, because their job is to stay informed on 32 teams. Nobody knows the Chicago Bears like the people in the chat room, the thousands of people who watch this play on demand, and the thousands more who go to Soldier Field and love the Chicago Bears and study the Chicago Bears. These national guys, who was it just a minute ago, put up on the screen that these TV analysts are idiots. They are. They don't know about the Chicago Bears. So,
I mean, how many yards did the Bears have total that day? We were at that game.
Yes, you and I were.
So, I mean, it was probably less than 100 yards of total offense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, well, if Fields had just played better that day, the Bears could have won. They were in the game for a long time, but that game was almost like the one where Cutler was in against the Giants and just got beaten to death with like the 9 or 10 sacks in the first half. Remember that one?
Yep.
It was very similar, where it's just like, this guy's the fucking prey and they are the sharks.
Vaughn in the chat says something that I'm sure you'll agree with. He says Nagy leaving is an extra 3 wins for the season.
Yes. Combined with the schedule, you never know, but on paper the schedule isn't extremely daunting as it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they got real coaches there now.
Mm-hmm.
I think our offensive coordinator, again, we haven't even played a preseason game, but I think the great Getsy is better than anything. Like, just through his interviews, I feel like he's transparently better than Matt Nagy. But maybe I'm jumping like, calm down, like, don't come too quickly here, like, let's get a few minutes in before you be bust. But okay, I think he's going to be better offensive coordinator than Matt Nagy ever could have been. The defense should hold up. They got a better secondary, better schedule, and better coaches, and they'll have better quarterback play.
Man, Danny, you're almost making me a believer.
And even if Fields were to get hurt, hypothetically, which would be awful, and I don't want to see it. I mean, for a 7th-round pick, Simeon's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would rather have Trevor Simeon than Andy Dalton. I
hell.
absolutely believe that. I'm not just blowing smoke or just trying to be funny.
I agree with you. I was upset that the Bears didn't draft Trevor Simeon. I thought he was a guy that you should take a chance on. Well, he eventually went, I think, around 6 to the Broncos. I was surprised that Pace, who came into town saying, we're going to draft the quarterback every year, fill the pipeline. You never know, could get lucky. Bypass Dak Prescott in the 4th round, bypass a good solid backup in Trevor Simeon. Just some stupid stuff that's happened in Chicago.
And did you hear Simeon's presser when he was asked why he came here?
No, I missed that presser. What did he say?
He said something, again, this is not a direct quote, but he said, the offense, man, he's like, I know I'm here to be the backup, but if I have to play, this offense is good for my talent. This offense will be the way I can accentuate my play and show you that I'm a capable NFL quarterback. He said that he knows that it's a good fit for his talent.
Oh, I got to check
and
that
it's
out.
a good offense is what he said.
Yeah, I bypassed that interview. I need to check that out. That was about 2-3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he said that the offense was the reason he wanted to be here.
Mm-hmm. All right, the last clip I have from Chris Sims talking about his concern. Again, he's with Paul Burmeister here. Chris Sims is talking about his concern regarding the weapons or lack of weapons he perceives that the Bears have.
You look at the playmakers around him. What do you think?
Yeah, I look at it right now and go, I think out of all the rookies that were drafted in his class, he's got the least support system around him. I do. I mean, again, Zach Wilson, the Jets, when they're healthy, that's going to be pretty good. You know, Trevor Lawrence, like we just talked about. I mean, what they did this offseason, this is going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Trey Lance with the 49ers. I mean, come on. They're the best, maybe the best team in football completely. And then, you know, Mac Jones, even though it might not be superstars, there's a lot of good across the roster there.
Yeah.
So
might be last by a significant amount.
Significant amount. I mean, we're talking about, hey, Cole Kmet, good tight end. We know he's legit.
Yeah.
I like Darnell Mooney a lot.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney. Yeah.
Mooney.
I don't know why I was going to say Darryl Mooney. I think like there used to be but yeah. Then after that, we're getting into
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery certainly, but slim pickings as far as receivers go. And that's why I think you're hearing the kid they drafted out of Tennessee, Velus Jones, right? He's making some noise. They're gonna probably have to depend on him to make some plays for their offense this year.
They don't even fucking know the roster.
Yeah, I know.
Darryl Mooney. What the fuck?
And as you and I have said privately, I think St. Brown is going to play. I mean, he came from, with Getsy.
Yeah.
So if Getsy didn't believe in him, he would have been like, don't sign that guy. I worked with him before. He's not capable.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy came over, pissed off that he couldn't get more time, more balls thrown his way, couldn't get targets, and signed basically the league minimum just to get a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me show you what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this guy is going to be a very good player for us. And maybe I'll be completely wrong. He'll be one and done. And maybe, again, I'm talking out of my ass. But like I said, you combine the fact that the OC knows him, obviously advocated for him, and then he takes that small-ass contract. He's betting on himself here to get paid next season when the Bears have more money.
Right.
So exactly. I think he's going to flourish if he is given the opportunity and stays healthy.
Man, I believe I put up a chart the other day on Twitter. I didn't download it onto StreamYard, but when you compare the Bears receiving core from last year and the Bears receiving core from this year, and you apply the same numbers from last year for the guys who are returning, or the numbers that they had last year, like Pringle had 40-something catches with the Chiefs, and you apply those to the Bears, and you total up the top 10 receivers, the 2020 version of the Bears have 50 more receptions than the Bears from last season. And in that interview, I cut out the part where Sims was talking glowingly about he doesn't have Allen Robinson anymore. That's going to be a huge loss. Well, how many passes did Allen Robinson catch last year? And I'm an Allen Robinson fan, but they just didn't mesh for whatever reason. And it had to do really because of Matt Nagy had some vendetta against Allen Robinson,
which is crazy.
Unfucking believable. Guy's fighting for his job. And I'm talking about the head coach, and he's carrying out vendettas against players. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a he's just such a terrible coach. Like, he's worse than, they always say when you have a first round pick, that quarterback, that it misses, you like put yourself back 4 or 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this guy, I know he won Coach of the Year, but he really set us back. As poor as they think we are right now, they being the experts, that's because of Matt Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can blame some of it on Ryan Pace too. I get that, but man, Ryan Pace Matt Nagy is worse than he's worse than Cade McNown. He's worse than Curtis Enos. And again, I still say Curtis could have been okay. He hurt his knee real early in his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like the worst bust pick we've ever had. He's worse than the Rick Meyer trade. You give up a first-round pick for Rick Meyer. There's your question. What's worse? You trade a first-round pick for Rick Meyer, who never throws a single touchdown as a Bear, or hiring Matt Nagy. Which is the worst?
Man.
It might be a tie.
That is a tie.
I think the Rick Meyer trade is the worst one in my lifetime, though.
Man.
And I think Matt Nagy is the worst coach in my lifetime. And that includes Trestman. That includes Fox.
Why'd you buy a Rick Meyer jersey?
I did not buy a Rick Meyer jersey.
That's John Buffon.
That was Mr. Buffon. Yes.
That's right.
He wore that shit on your post game the day. Right. I think it was the day we were in Cleveland.
That's right. That's right. That had to be a gift. I bet you that was a gift. I don't think John would pay the money for a Rick Meyer jersey.
Like I told you this before, Phil told me he had the Bears 27 Lewis Tillman jersey.
Oh my goodness.
the running back from the Giants that we signed and was there in 94, 95.
Was that Lewis Tillman or Spencer Tillman?
No, not Spencer. Lewis.
Okay.
Lewis was like the third string running back in New York behind O.J. Anderson and Rodney Hampton.
Why?
And played special teams. So we signed him. I'm telling you, in 94, we were on I'm slightly exaggerating this. You can look up the line. There was a Sunday night football game, the Bears at the Jets early in the season, like week 4. And this is, again, slightly exaggerated, but Lewis Tillman had like 35 carries for 39 yards. It was something, it was fucking awful. That's why they drafted Rashawn Salam the next season. They're like, we got to get away from this guy immediately.
Yep. Worst free agent signing by the Chicago Bears. People are throwing some names out there. I'll ask you, Dan. What's that was a trade. The Rick Meyer was a trade. So
yeah, Meyer's the worst trade.
Yeah. What about free agency signing?
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon. Yeah, probably.
It's hard to go against Mike Glennon.
Oh my God.
I mean, he was terrible. Or Jonathan Quinn. Jonathan Quinn. We signed him as a free agent. Remember back in 04. Because again, he was kind of like Chase Daniel. He knew the offense, and he was supposed to help young Rex along. And Rex blows his knee out at the Metrodome, and then suddenly this fucking guy's got to play. He was horrible.
I'm trying to. Somebody asked if Lewis Tillman wasn't from the Green Bay Packers. No,
he's from the Giants.
Yeah.
He won a ring with the Giants.
1989 through 1993, and then with the Bears, 94 through 95 is what I see here. So,
yeah, in 95 he didn't play. Rashawn played the overwhelming majority of the season. That was his rookie year, and he did extremely well, except for fumbling.
Was Henry Burris a free agent signing? Somebody suggested Henry Burris.
I don't remember. Henry Burris. Well, maybe we drafted Henry Burris.
I think we did.
Did we draft Moses Moreno, who started the one game?
Yes. Moses was a late round draft pick, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God. I know everyone likes to bring him up, but he only played the one game. Like Henry Burris had some action.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Mike Glennon was the worst all-time free agent.
What about Edgar Bennett?
Edgar Bennett from the guy from the Packers was Edgar Bennett, as Toots just put up on the screen. I don't think that was, they didn't pay Edgar Bennett big money.
He didn't do well.
He was awful. He was done.
And one that's controversial that could be because it didn't play out well could be on this list. And I like the guy a lot, but no one ever really talks about this or this era of the Bears really. But what about Brian Cox?
Yeah, somebody actually mentioned Brian Cox a couple of minutes ago.
Oh,
I think
I liked Brian. I did. I liked him a lot.
I was
happy with the signing.
Yeah, I it didn't live up to expectations, but that nobody played well on that team. But I thought Brian Cox brought some energy, some toughness. He fucked up a lot. As Tooch says, he was a hard hitter. I like that about him. And somebody else also suggested Cordell Stewart as a free agent signing. But there weren't really high expectations for Cordell for Slash.
They were trying to sign Jake Plummer.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jake Plummer was who did really well with Arizona with some bad teams. Won a playoff game there. So it wouldn't have been a terrible signing. They went after Jake and he went to Denver, and Cordell was like the only guy sitting there waiting, needing a gig other than Jeff Blake. And so they signed Cordell with the idea that he was going to start until Rex was ready. So, yeah, Cordell didn't play super well with the Bears or anything, but I mean, I don't think he deserves that kind of vitriol. I don't.
Yeah. I think maybe Logan Pilcher has aced the Glennon one with by saying the double doink was the worst free agent signing ever.
And Shane Marsaw called that immediately.
He did. He did immediately. That's right. Credit to Shane. He the
smartest fucking man.
Yeah, he was warning us early in the season. Yeah, this is going to come back to bite us. Watch, and he was fucking right.
Another kicker that we signed that was awful and didn't make it a couple of weeks, and actually is why we ended up with Robbie. When Paul Ettinger was allowed to leave and to go to Minnesota, we signed Doug Bryan. The old 49er kicker who won the Super Bowl there, I think in 94, was just so awful. By like week 5, Robbie was our kicker because Doug Bryan was just so terrible. And Robbie was a construction worker at the time.
That's right. Well, and during the course of cutting those highlights regarding Akiem Hicks, one of the announcers said that Akeem, after he was in between teams and he was working at a call center for a cable company in Colorado before he got a call. I think it was the Saints or somebody before joining the Bears. So that was pretty interesting. Imagine getting on the phone and complaining about your cable bill and Akiem Hicks is on the other line. Like, fuck you. There was another name here, Lamar Houston. I don't think Lamar was that bad of a signing, though. He just had some really bad luck, and part of it had to do with his undisciplined-like play.
I mean, if you're celebrating a sack when you're down 51-3,
yeah, see, that's
I'm not going to say you deserve to blow your knee out, but maybe you do.
Jay Cutler was a trade, Cliff. I don't think that can be. I don't think that was the worst trade. I think the Rick
led us to the championship game.
Yeah. Tony Moy reminds us about Ray McDonald, the former 49er who got a endorsement from Ryan Pace saying this guy is okay, but a weeks later he had a domestic violence accusation against him. And
Jay Ratliff, or I guess he was Jeremiah Ratliff when we had him.
Right.
But he lost his mind and tried to attack the team in a practice or something.
Yes.
And they had to call the police in when he was cut.
The cops on him because he was threatening people at Hallis Hall. He totally lost it. And you know what? I was going to make a joke about it, but a lot of these guys have just suffer from so much head trauma that you'd be making jokes about, people who have mental illness. So I'll make the joke anyway. No, I'm just kidding. King Pookie.
I love the Marshall trade. If it made me think of that when you were talking about mental illness. I thought Brandon, he was only here 3 years. I know a lot of people grew tired of him quickly, but I thought he was a phenomenal player. It's just too bad, man, that couldn't put it all together. That's another guy I would like to have seen win with the Bears is Brandon Marshall. I liked Brandon, man.
I like Brandon a lot, and that borderline personality disorder that he suffered from, I understand that. I've seen other people in my family and friends have that. So that was to me forgivable. And I think that you just needed a head coach who perhaps would have spent time learning about how to deal with borderline personality disorders. Tooch is nodding his head. So since he's agreeing with me on this point, I'm going to bring him in. Tooch, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks a lot. How's everyone doing? Barflies good?
The Barflies are great, man. We've got over 100 in the chat room. Many more listening or watching in on Twitter, and our numbers for this show have been great. Yeah. So thanks for everyone who's been watching it on demand. A couple of thousand. Really appreciate. Dan sends his love too, right, Dan?
Absolutely.
Dan, you don't praise our fans enough. Somebody told me.
Well, I don't have access to the list of the people on, at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. I mean, I'm again. If we're bringing up Phil, no one really interacts with me the way they did with Phil. So, Phil would praise, everyone. You make a joke about him and say, he's got 500 shout outs, but he was more affable in that regard and more approachable, I guess.
I'm the same way. I'm not, a social animal. Tooch is much more of a social animal than any one of the two of us, right, Tooch?
I really love this conversation, man. I enjoy it. I got to think, some of the worst free agent signings, man. Surfer dude, Chad Hutchinson, worthless signing.
He did win us a game against Minnesota in 04.
All right.
And if I could say one more thing about that, the play that everyone talks about to start the 2010 season, the Calvin Johnson play, where Calvin clearly caught it and they said he didn't go through the catch procedure or whatever and gave the Bears the ball back. That exact sequence happened to us at Ford Field in 2004 at the end of the season when Chad Hutchinson threw a touchdown to Bernard Berrien. So when everyone was like, oh, the Lions were robbed in Chicago, I was like, they just got what the fuck they took away from us in 04. The same fucking shit happened to us in 04. Nobody remembers that, though.
And Thomas Smith, remember that dude? It was like supposed to be a shutdown corner. Yeah, and he played one season, had 0 interceptions, then he was cut. He didn't even make it out of training camp the next season. Thomas Smith, I think he was on the Bills. We signed him, gave him a big contract to come here and play shutdown corner.
The guy from Washington that we signed, what was his name? Tom Carter? Was in the secondary?
Yes, Tom Carter, yes.
Yeah, he wasn't that good either for an acquisition.
Yeah.
Brandon Lloyd, remember that dude? We signed him from Washington Redskins.
Yeah, he was in 08 with us.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. It's like Marcus Wheaton. Like,
he was better than Marcus Wheaton.
Yeah.
Jeremy brings up a forgotten bad trade, Gaines Adams, and I won't say that was a bad
he
trade.
Died, though.
He died, though.
Exactly. It's not like he played poorly. The fucker died in his sleep. That's a bad luck trade.
Jeremy, we wouldn't have traded for him if we knew he was going to die.
That's right.
God damn you, Gaines.
I got a scouting report on Gaines Adams here. It says he's going to die within 12 months. All right, let's try to make a trade for him. Oh, that's morbid. Yeah, this is a good conversation. Tooch, I want more of your names here. What do you got for us?
Oh, man. Let's see. Plus, everybody already brought up Cordell Stewart. That was, so much promise. Didn't do much. Man, it's because Sam Hurd. That's another good one.
Oh, the drug dealer.
And Roy Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, Roy Williams. Great, Dan. Great one there. That was a dude that had
Marion Barber.
Marion Barber, the motherfucker. Go out of bounds. No.
Just go out of bounds. Don't let us get T-bowed. No.
What about Jared Allen? I know that's come up in the chat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Orlando Pace.
That another good one, Aldo. Yeah, that was what I was going to mention.
You know what? The whole that
Santonio Holmes.
Jordan just had that one too.
Jordan always on top of it.
Yeah.
Pernell McPhee. You think he was a bad one?
Yes. Going to run his mouth at Jay on the sidelines when he hadn't played for like one game in 3 years.
See, the thing about him was that we signed him, we being the Bears, knowing that he had a tender knee. But they went out and played him every fucking snap. He should have been a pass rush specialist. He might still be on the Bears.
That was Pace too, right? Pace signed McPhee.
Yes.
I think it was one of his. I think it was his first big signing when he came here. A pass rusher.
Yeah, he had it was a $40 million deal. Yeah, it was Pace. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it was terrible. He and his quote unquote dog mentality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good for like the first month.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Khalil Mack in that regard. Khalil was great the first month of that acquisition of that trade, and then
I don't know. I think that was hindsight being 2020. Nobody really you can't say any of the two teams won that trade. Perhaps the Bears did lose him just because of the amount of money paid to Khalil Mack, and so you're unable now to sign other free agents that could potentially help the team. But at the very least, that performance, and even though we fucking lost that game, that performance against the Green Bay Packers in his first game, that was worth $10-20 million right there for me. I had a lot of fun seeing him fuck Aaron Rodgers up, but unfortunately it didn't last very long. So yeah, and that performance against Brady when he picks up the rookie and just tackles him to the fucking ground after he sacked Brady. I mean, and he did it with one arm. Come on, Mac did some incredible things, but overall it was disappointing.
Do you think he was worse than Julius Peppers as a Bear? Now, I'm not talking about Julius as a Panther or even a Packer.
Yeah,
because he was a stud with Green Bay again.
He played better with Green Bay than he did with the Bears. People were asking me, what are we Green Bay fans that are buddies of mine? What are we getting in Peppers? Well, I was like, it's over, man. A guy, he just doesn't have it anymore. And he goes out there and he fucking plays his best football. I think he played as well at Green Bay as he did under John Fox in Carolina.
With really the Bears, though.
Yeah, but to answer your question,
was he more of a disappointment than Khalil?
Khalil was the bigger disappointment.
Yeah, because I guess we had higher expectations.
Yes, exactly. longevity. Peppers was criticized.
Well, they both had 4 years.
They both had 4 years. Oh, I didn't know that. But Peppers played
Or maybe
more games.
maybe Peppers was 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay. So, but Peppers played more games over those 4 years than Mac had to. But yeah, it was disappointing. Peppers was, oh man, well, everything's fucking disappointing.
What about? I thought of that safety. He every time we put him in, he had a penalty. He was from New England. He had the really long dreads.
Oh.
Brandon Merriweather.
Yeah, Mayweather.
Mayweather. Yeah, he was.
No, it's Merriweather. You're right.
Merriweather. Yeah.
Yes,
he came.
Yes. Tooch, you remember this? He came to the Bears with the reputation of being a headhunter. He loved to spear ball carriers, and he collected a lot of penalties. The Patriots were trying to cure him of that problem, but he just loved to do it. He loved to hurt people. He was a fucking dirty player, and for some reason, we had him on the Bears. Yeah, that's a good one. That's
Adam Archuleta.
Good one, Dan. Yeah.
Guy looked good with the Rams for a few years, and then he comes to the Bears at Lovie Smith's insistence, and he looks like a piece of shit. I think Archuleta in Italian is a piece of shit.
And don't forget that tight end that Mike Martz wanted, the Samoan name.
Oh yeah,
Brandon Manu Maliuno.
Yeah, Martz wanted Olsen gone so that he could replace him with Orlando Pace, Brandon Malamula, and eliminate the tight end from the offense. Fuck you, Mike Martz.
That's when we had Kellen Davis, who was 6'7" and thought he would, be able to make an impact considering how big he was. But he caught some balls from Jay. But man, I thought he could have been more than what he was. But
he had awful hands. But you're right, he did make a few good catches here and there. But he was Mr. Unreliable when he came to his hands. It was awful, man. Oh, jeez. Why are we talking about all this bad stuff?
Well, we're talking about bad. Well, how about some good ones then?
Okay,
Let's
good.
flip it. How about Desmond Clark?
Desmond Clark, good. I've been trying to get him on the show. He told me he would, but he says, I don't follow the Bears that often. I said, Desmond, we want to talk about you. We want to talk about your time with the Bears. We want to talk about what you've been doing after the Bears. And he goes, okay, I'll get back to you. And every once in a while, I remind him. He made me a promise. There's a few players like that. One of these days. Come on, man. We need you on. Dan Aguirre will fucking cream on himself.
We signed Dez, and he was with us from 03 through 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was there for a long time, but that's a good, solid acquisition.
A very nice acquisition. Very nice. Other good free agent signings, the guy we pay tribute to today, Akiem Hicks, is probably one of the better ones of this century. Who else? Who else do you guys like out there?
John Tate. Didn't play here a long time before he retired, but he was a good lineman for us.
Good left tackle, right?
Andy Heck.
Andy Heck, another guy. His son is playing football now. He's a lineman he played at Michigan. He was drafted, I think, by an NFC East team with a lot of promise. So we'll keep an eye on him. Ted Washington and Keith Traylor, says Tony Moy. What do you think of
Love those? Ted, man. Big Ted. He only played 1 year with us, though. He got hurt in week 2 of 2002, and he was out of here.
Yeah. Been a lot of one-year wonders with the Bears. Eric Kramer was a good free agent signing. Was he a free agent signing? Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
From the Lions. Yep. You could add Jeff Graham and Marcus Robinson to Eric Kramer.
Excellent names. Excellent names.
Good wide receiver quarterback combos there.
Mm-hmm.
For one magical season.
Yeah, that season, Tuch will appreciate this because he's a fantasy football savant. I picked up Marcus Robinson in that rookie season for the Bears just on a flyer. Stick him in the back of my roster. All of a sudden, he starts catching passes. That guy's fucking starter for me.
And you know who was slinging the rock to him that year? The three-headed monster of Shane Matthews, Jim Miller, and Cade McNown.
Man.
Was it? Okay.
In 99, yeah.
So true. Reuben Brown. That's a good name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent name. What about
Thomas Jones?
Thomas Jones was mentioned earlier. Yeah. Heidi is leaving us. She says it's good to see you and listen to you. Thank you very much and good night. All my love for you.
Bye, Heidi. If I ever get to Acapulco, I'm going to stop in and see Heidi.
Yeah, I'm going to Acapulco. I'm bringing Heidi back with me. While kidnapping.
Yeah, if Heidi ever wants to become an American, she can marry me just for the green card as long as I get to hit it. I love Heidi, all jokes aside. She's such a sweet woman. She truly is.
Yeah, when I met her a few months ago, man, she's hot. Caliente. Muy caliente.
She sounds like Penelope Cruz when she talks.
I know, man. We should have her do some voice work for us. Just some cooing sounds. Oh, dang. Why do we have to sexualize everything on this show? Because I'm a horny motherfucker.
I think so. I think me too.
Tooch, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being so horny you might get arrested, where would you put yourself on the hornball scale?
Like right now at this moment?
Not right now.
Yeah, please. Hopefully not a 10 and you're looking at pictures of Dan and me. Well, at this point in your life, let's say.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. The older you get, the less, the less, yeah, a little bit. I mean, but my wife and I, have a healthy relationship, so
that's good to hear.
Good foundation. But the toddlers kind of wear you out so much.
Oh my gosh!
I'm like, I get to the end of the day, I hit the bed. I'm like, my back, the toddlers wore me out. And then I wait up for my wife's like, wait up for me, and I'm like, But.
Jordan says that Dan Aguirre easily has the highest libido level of the three of us. I would agree with that. Dan's younger than Tooch and myself, and he's a bachelor. How is your sex life?
It makes me happy. Makes me feel very proud of I almost feel like I deserve a cape anytime I can make a woman have an orgasm. So yeah, it helps my self-esteem.
Are you better at helping a woman achieve orgasm orally or with
orally for sure?
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure, because you can just focus on them, and you just figure out what they want and what they like, and you just got to pay attention. It's not that hard, no pun intended with my penis. I'm just saying it's not that difficult to ascertain what they're responding to. It's like you're the conductor of the symphony.
Yeah.
And with your dick, I mean, you're kind of a slave to what you like, and what you like might not be what they like. So it can, it might not have good chemistry in that regard. But with the oral, it's kind of hard to fuck that up if you're really trying.
That is, I would agree with that. Do you remember the old Sam Kinison joke? He says,
that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah,
the alphabet.
There you go. So yeah. When you're doing, that particular letter, and she goes, "Oh," then you remember that letter, and you go back to it again and again.
Or a Braveheart, the lesson: the Englishman doesn't know what a tongue is for.
That's good.
The French, his French paramour.
Donald McKendry says, "Where is it?" He says, "At my current age of 65." Where is it? I just had it up. There it is. My current age of 65. He says he is a 5 with a 7 of a wife. So are you talking about your looks, Donald? Because you were on one of our shows, and if you're giving yourself a 5, you are a lenient grader. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Jeez.
I'll quote Larry David from myself. I actually have a gif of this too when I share it to him. He's like, "I'm a 4, baby. I'm a fucking 4. A solid 4.
Oh, wait a minute. Breaking news. Best free agent signing from Laz Mongo.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Prayers up for Mongo.
Yep. Gosh, I'm dreading that any moment now we're going to see the bad news. I mean, there's I'm hoping for a miracle, of course, but it just doesn't look good. When you see these pictures, there have been a lot of pictures of him with former Bears and friends and stuff. It just doesn't look good. This is ALS, man. There is no cure for this thing. It's the fucking worst. God damn, I hate getting old and diseases and stuff and seeing people that you love and care for and idolize being affected by health issues.
Even in his post career, man, he was a wrestler for a couple of years and took it seriously. Was in great shape. Was strong, man. It was a badass, man. Like, again, I know it's a script and what have you, but his body was in impeccable shape when he was a wrestler.
Yeah.
He was just a fucking beast, man. And to see that guy, or just to see the guy in my head from 76, with the Bears, to the guy laying in the bed, it's just like, this can't be the same man.
Larger than life personality as well,
Yeah, getting kicked out of Wrigley. Didn't he get kicked out of the Cubs game?
I don't think he was actually kicked out. The Empire looked at him like he was ready to kick him out because he was supposed to be singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," but he made a crack about the Empire, who was having a bad day, but he made a crack about it, and the Empire just threw a fucking look at him. But I don't recall if he was actually thrown out. Cliff Victoria says, Mongo has a great wife. She has been by his side all along. Kudos to her. Yeah, you are absolutely right.
Deborah is his wife's name, I think, right? Deborah McMichael.
No, that was his wife back in the day. She left him for Steve Austin.
That's right. His first wife, who was gorgeous. She was actually voted Mrs. Illinois. Beautiful blonde. She left him for Steve Austin. That is right.
She said,
wow.
He used to, I don't want to denigrate Steve Austin here, because you never know what's true and what isn't. But she made the allegations at the time that Chris Benoit killed his family in 2007, that she alleged that Steve was so roided up that he would beat her in Stone Cold character at the house.
Oh my God.
Like, he'd be in her face yelling, what? And like, just literally playing Stone Cold and beating her at home. That's what she alleged.
Jeez. Well, let's not go there, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, his current wife's name is Misty, by the way. Thanks, Jordan. Misty Tooch. Misty McMichael.
That reminds me of an old Clint Eastwood movie where he's a radio DJ and he's stalked by this lady. It's called Play Misty for Me.
Yeah, the Clint Eastwood movie, yes.
Yeah, that was solid, huh?
Yes. What was the name of his co-star on that?
I can't recall.
Yeah, but that was good. Tooch fucked up his homework assignment. He didn't see French Connection too.
I've seen it before, but it has been a long time. So I'm a big fan of French Connection 1. I think it's, one of the. It's probably in my top 100.
Yeah,
French Connection. Just the directing is fantastic. I love William Friedkin, Chicago guy.
Mm-hmm.
So many. He had like probably 3 super memorable movies for me. The French Connection, Exorcist, To Live and Die in LA is so underrated.
It really, really
great movie, man. With I remember seeing To Live and Die in the LA in the theater, just being shocked by the one scene that everybody will. I don't want to give it away for those who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, it's a great fucking movie. It pretty much made Willem Dafoe's career. William Peterson.
Because that was before Platoon.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Willem was a big star by the time he was in Platoon with Oliver Stone and Charlie Sheen. But man, that was before that. So
yeah, I
remember watching it and being shocked at the William Peterson scene in the locker room, and then being like, "Well, what do I do now? What the fuck?" It's like there's more movie. What the hell? But yeah, great fucking movie. Great ending. Great story.
Mm-hmm.
Masterfully told. Very underrated. And then French Connection 2, I remember liking it. I just remember liking French Connection 1 better.
Tell you what, yeah, it's a totally different movie than French Connection. Dan, you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, it's what I liked about it. They didn't try to recreate the first one, which is kind of the same praise I have for Exorcist 2. Even though it wasn't William Friedkin, the director, like, he didn't try to go there because he couldn't top that.
Mm-hmm.
So he made it a different film, and I thought French Connection 2, in its own way, was just as good, if not better, than French Connection 1. Actually, because you get the payoff at the end with the bastard dying, that gets away at the end of the first one, and you get these dark scenes of Gene Hackman forced to become a junkie. They kidnap him, and they keep shooting him up with heroin against his will, and he has to overcome all of that because they leave him for death. They just throw him out in front of the precinct, and there you go. And he has to overcome his newfound addiction. Mm-hmm. But in the end, he is able to pull himself together and still shoot the asshole at the end To me, that's the bow on the top. That's jerking me off at the theater. You know, the first one left me thinking, okay, I was close to coming, but I didn't. And this one, so I like part 2 better.
So Popeye Doyle, Gene Hackman's best character, would you guys say? I know he's nominated, I think. Wasn't he for an Oscar for French
He
Connection
was
1?
nominated for the first one and was not for the second, although critics wanted him to get a nomination because, in particular, those scenes where he was on drugs, on heroin, were
like Dan was talking about.
Critics, the critics love that stuff. See, I had a little bit of a problem with French Connection 2. I enjoyed it, but it's a very, very simple movie. Popeye Doyle is told to go to France to find the heroin dealer who got away in the first movie, as Dan just said. The French cops dislike him. They give him an office outside the bathroom. They just don't like his American, bulldog in a china shop approach towards law enforcement.
He's like Olin Kreutz over there.
Exactly. Popeye Doyle then he's being followed by French police because they want to make sure that he doesn't do anything outlandish. American, right? They don't want him to be a Dirty Harry. And so he tries to lose them, and then he's immediately kidnapped by the French drug dealers, henchmen, and they make him addicted to heroin. And then there's this long fucking sequence with him trying to beat the drugs. And I know it's been critically acclaimed, the acting and stuff, but I just thought it bogged down the movie that already was running over 2 hours. In total, it runs over 2 hours. And so that could have been tightened a little bit. And then you see him getting back into health. There's this montage where he's walking around in one outfit and then walking around another outfit, walking around another outfit, walking around the outfit. And then he's now back to his old Popeye Doyle kind of half fascistic way of policing. He fucking goes to the hideout of the drug dealers and he burns the fucking building down. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's kind of a bullshit thing to do because there's a lot of innocent people in that fucking hotel building. So that kind of turned me off, and the fact that do you really think the French police would have said, okay, we'll forgive you for that. Let's go get the bad guy. That to me stretched the imagination a little bit, stretched plausibility. And then finally, there's the scene where he's tracking down, as Dan gave away the ending, not that that was a bad thing because the fucking movie is 50 years old now, but there's this scene where he's tracking down the major drug dealer and you hear him panting and he's jumping fences, he's running, he's chasing down, and the soundtrack is like this.
I like it. It's gritty, man.
It's gritty. It felt phony. It felt, it didn't feel like natural sound because everything was shot in a telephoto lens. So he's clearly far away. So why is his soundtrack of him breathing heavily? Why is it dominating the soundtrack?
It's almost like a POV for the crowd, for us. We're Gene Hackman there. That's what it would be for us to jump these fences and stuff.
And that would have been okay if they would have had at least one or two point of view shots of Hackman, with the camera's jiggling, and he's trying to jump the fence and running and stuff like that. But I didn't like, and the director is great. So me criticizing John Frankenheimer, one of the great directors of that era, he's done a lot of great movies. What's the football one? Black Sunday.
Love Black Sunday,
Manchurian Candidate, and so on. So I shouldn't be criticizing Frankenheimer's work, but that scene didn't work for me. And then he immediately, as soon as he shoots the French guy, titles,
credits, yeah.
It's like, okay, can you give us the satisfaction of the French people sucking Papa Doyle's dick or something because he's cleaned up the streets of Marseille? I don't know. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. If you love cinema, it's definitely a pleasing movie for lovers of cinema. But there were some parts of it that I thought were bad. Nomad says bad editing. I would agree with Nomad. There was some bad editing there.
It wasn't William Friedkin.
It was not William Friedkin, and that's one of the reasons though Dan likes it, because it wasn't the same mishmash, and for that I give credit. It had its own style. It feels very European, and I think Frank.
But there's no like car chasing and things that made the first one. I mean,
right?
They're like, we understand that this was a great film and we can't top that, so we'll try to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in a musician like Michael Jackson. Thriller's such a huge record, but at some point he's got to do bad.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the same style. Maybe it's a bad analogy, but at some point you can't make the same record over and over unless you're like AC/DC.
I agree with you, but wouldn't it have been cool, because when you're going to make the comparison, the signature scene in the first one is of course the car chase with the L train, right? What's the signature scene in French Connection 2? Him running and panting like he's...
No, the heroin stuff to me is what indelibly, that's what I think about in that movie, just how awful that would be if your worst enemy, like just kept injecting you with drugs over and over and over and made you a junkie.
Yeah.
And like your whole life you abstained from that shit and now you're suddenly a slave to it. That would just be awful.
I agree with that. That is the signature scene or sequence of that movie. I just feel like it needed for the finale when they catch the guy. It needed something.
It was abrupt. I'll give you that.
It was abrupt. That's a good way of putting it.
Is French Connection 1 the greatest car chase scene ever?
No. I love the Bullet movie with Steve McQueen.
Bullet.
He tried to top himself in To Live and Die in L.A. too. Another great car chase scene.
On the highway against traffic.
Yeah.
That is good.
That Steve McQueen one is incredible though.
Yeah. Steve McQueen in Bullet. I forgot who the director was on that one, but that was an outstanding film.
Would you guys say that those movies that you just mentioned, they inspire the Fast and Furious car chase? You had to have some effect, no?
Which
Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Yeah.
I've never watched any of those, so I can't really answer.
Excellent action scenes, but yes, that's all CGI, all of it.
Yeah.
Even when the very first Fast and Furious movie, it was filled with CGI. I saw that one in the theater. It was
an
okay.
inspiration, though. I mean, with it making they kind of turned the car chase scene into like a dinosaur CGI. They monster CGI. They turned the car chase scene into its own industry.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And there's like 37 of those films. Just stop making them.
Those things make money, though. That's the thing. A lot of
people... I'm with Martin Scorsese too. Can we please stop making these comic book movies? I mean, it's just the worst cinema, and there's like 12 of them every year, and they're exactly the same.
Well, we have a show that's on our network that's dedicated to those movies. So those guys.
Well, it's just my opinion and Martin Scorsese, so I'll say that.
You know what? I'm with you. I think there's too many of them now. It's oversaturated, and at a certain point, the audiences are going to start turning away from these Marvel movies. And in fact, we've already started seeing signs. Tooch, you know this better than me. Some of the ratings on, and what I mean by ratings, some of the box office receipts and ratings for the ones that are streamed, they're going down. They're not. The last one, Doctor Strange, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
That one did fairly well, but there was a precipitous drop from week 1 to week 2 at the box office, and so there's been some reports that maybe the fans of these movies are starting to feel a little, I don't know, restless, tired of the shit.
Could it be
never
partially reluctance to enter the movie theater again on some people's parts post-pandemic? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the point I was about to make. I've never been a fan.
I'm sorry,
of
Dan. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you. I was just going to say I wasn't a fan of Top Gun per se. I didn't hate it, didn't love it, but I love to see that it's making so much bank in the theater right now, because I would love to see a comeback for movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the Maverick already? I heard it was really good.
Like money, it's making a shit ton of money, just a plethora of money. It's doing extremely well. So I wanted to bring back the theater, man.
Greg Gabriel saw it and he loved it.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah, somebody else I talked to really admired it. So
I like the fact that they had to bring back some kind of artificial technology to have Val Kilmer have his voice again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool that you were able to hear Val's voice despite the fact he can't talk now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
PJ wanted you to know that the comic books, you've got to appreciate the comic books to really enjoy these Marvel movies. He actually writes, actually, Dan, they are not the same. You have to understand the comic books. So what he's saying is that these Marvel movies are not the same if you understand the backstory that the comic books deliver. And that's part of the problem, though, with these Marvel movies is that if you're not a big follower of the comic books, this I've learned from Salim and Carl, who do science fiction here on the network. He says that some of the movies, you really need to know some of the backstory that is filled in the comic books so you can better appreciate what is being said or shown in the movie. That's and to me, true. that to me is kind of weird because, you know, I'm paying my movie. I want to see an entire event that's made just for that sitting, unless it's a sequel of the last movie. But Salim made the point, and I remember when I was a comic book reader as a kid, I remember that there were asterisks on the bottom of the page of comic books, refer to issue 457 or something like that. You remember that too?
Yes.
So
they used to bug the shit out of me because if I didn't have that issue, I'd be fucking pissed off.
Exactly.
When I was a kid.
Exactly. So it is a little frustrating, but I understand, you know.
Can I respond to this?
Please do. Please.
To me, and again, I'm not, remember, my opinion is only worthy of my opinion. It doesn't make it effect. And if the other gentleman thinks it's the best films ever, my opinion does not supersede his. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to piss him off. But in my opinion, these movies are Taylor Swift. They're mass consumption. They're pop music. Or maybe I can extrapolate it even farther and say that it's 80s hairband. It's a fad. It's a phase. And at some point it's going to go away. And I can't wait for that. But I think it doesn't even deserve, because there are some good hairband, like Guns N' Roses. It's nothing like, it's Taylor Swift, man. It's radio friendly pop shit that most people will listen to on the radio. That's the kind of movie it's akin to. It's just safe, watered down horse shit, in my opinion.
But you
made for mass consumption.
But you haven't seen them, so how?
I've seen not all of them. I've seen some of them.
Tell me
I
one.
I refuse to watch Superman versus Batman versus Iron Man versus Wonder Woman. I mean, come on, man. Jumping the shark.
That sounds like a good one.
Fuck, man. Like,
Wonder
I don't know.
Woman?
I've seen a bunch of these with other people that love them and like just watch it with me or whatever. I've seen some of these movies, man.
You know what Dan needs all
okay, I saw the last Superman movie.
Okay.
And just to compare that to Superman 2, because I did as a kid love the Christopher Reeve Superman movies because I was a kid. The fight scene in Superman 2 where Christopher Reeve is fighting off Zod and the lady and the guy that can't talk, I don't remember his name, Non or whatever. Their fight scene in 1980 is 1,000% better than the one in Man of Steel or whatever it was called, because it's all CGI and looks fucking fake. It looks like a video game. It looks like I'm watching Sonic the Hedgehog on early Sega Genesis games in 1991. I think it looks fake. It's awful. The movies are better than these.
We could get Dan into a movie if it was a hard RNC-17 with some sex in there, you know?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Dan would prefer to see a movie where Wonder Woman, it becomes a heroin junkie because she's being forced.
Wonder Woman should have hair under her arms and on her legs because she's supposed to be a beast woman, right?
No, come on.
That's why Amazon comic books that I saw as a kid. She's supposed to be she's supposed to be an Amazon bitch, right? Didn't she have hair under her arms in some of the comic books?
Wonder Woman did not have hair in the comic books.
That would have been kind of taboo, wouldn't it, back then? Or
what kind of comic books were you reading?
But anyway, whatever. Maybe I'm wrong about the comic book movie. I did see that Wonder Woman movie as well, and it was horrible. It's fucking dreadful. I'll tell you a movie I saw over the weekend that I did enjoy. It was a horror movie called X.
I heard about that one. It's in my queue, but I have to find the right moment because it's about making a porno movie, slasher movie, right?
Yeah, they go to this like this place in Texas because this guy's got a barn and shit, and they have a place to shoot. Of course, he doesn't know that they're shooting porn, but they're wanting to do it on location, and they're renting this guy's property. And as you find out, his wife is very old now and used to be really hot and still has tremendous libido. And she has a lesbian crush on one of the girls and wants to fuck her despite being like 88 because the guy can't give her the cock anymore and she really wants to fuck. And when she can't get what she wants, she's willing to kill you. So the old woman who wants dick or pussy and you will not give it, so you will get your throat cut. I liked it. And it's set in 1979. I like timepieces like that.
Yeah, I do too. All right, I'll go checking that out. I got one
movie that I saw. It was terrible, and I'll shut up because I stepped on you.
No, that's fine. Please.
I watched it because a couple of women that I had talked to wanted to see it over, the last few months, and a couple of different people was like, "Oh, this looks so great." I didn't really think so, but I bought it anyway just so I could have it in case somebody wanted to see it. It was that Sandra Bullock movie, and I do like Sandra Bullock, and Brad Pitt's in it. I like Brad Pitt, but it's called The Lost City. That was really fucking terrible.
Oh my gosh, I saw that too.
Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, did you like it? Although I didn't.
No, it was awful.
It was really, really awful.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Harry Potter's in it.
Yeah. Who was in it?
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt.
I like Brad Pitt a lot.
I love Brad Pitt. He's a great actor. And spoiler alert, he's only in the movie for about 20 minutes. And
less than that.
Yeah, and it's like when he's gone, it's like, what the fuck am I watching this for?
At least he showed up in the last scene. I'll give it that. Made the movie go from a -5 to a 1.
I got one for you guys. It was before.
Is Sandra Bullock hot? I'm kind of like.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. She's not on my top list. I don't know if she's
not on mine either, but
well, she's incredible though.
One of these days I'll share my numbering system for women. She makes that.
She's got to be 60, right?
No.
She's like my age, I think. Right around my age, maybe a year older than me. 2 years older.
It's not that off.
I think she's like 55.
Yeah, she looks great for any age in my mind. But we'll talk about Sandra Bullock and my numbering system for hotness on women.
My favorite Sandra Bullock is there's this movie. She actually dated the guy at the time. I can't think of his name. He comes across as like a nerd, but there was this film called Love Potion Number 9, where it's basically like a Bill Cosby, like give you this spike your shit and make you want to fuck.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's very libido. But yeah, Sandra Bullock is in it. I can't think of the guy's name. Like I said, she dated him for a really long time, the male in that. But she looks so good in that film. It's circa 92.
So
she just looks so great.
Jessica Walter and Donna Mills play Misty for me.
There you go. Jessica Walter. That's who I was thinking of. And Donna Mills is the woman that calls in, I believe. But either way, good movie. I'd like to see that again.
Haven't seen it in a long time either, but
yeah,
I looked that up for you. Got that one up. I have 2 monitors, as someone said in the chat room.
Oh, look at you!
Whenever I'm looking up here, I'm looking at the other monitor. I got Bears stuff. I got scores of games, movie stuff.
I got one for you that was the number one TV show on Netflix until a Stranger what's it called? A Stranger
Things.
Yeah,
until that came out last weekend or this past weekend and supplanted it at number 1. The Lincoln Lawyer. Did you guys see the movie with Matthew McConaughey that was released maybe 10 years ago? It's based on a Michael.
Is that Sandra Bullock though too?
No, the movie with McConaughey, I forgot who the actress was who played it, but it's a really good movie. And now there's a TV series based on book number 2. And my wife and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is, let me tell you the premise real quick. He's called the Lincoln Lawyer because he's a lawyer that works out of the back of his Lincoln Cadillac. He's got a driver and he just likes to concentrate on his cases as he's on the road, moving forward, and he can think better about his cases. Well, he's coming off a year of not practicing law because he had an opioid addiction due to something that happened to him in the recent past. And so he's trying to get his life together. Well, an attorney dies, and in his will, he leaves behind his entire business to the Lincoln lawyer. And so he accepts the business and all the cases associated with it, including a very high profile case of an attorney of a video game developer whose wife has been murdered, and the video game developer is being accused of her murder. So he's got to try to solve that case, despite the fact that the game guy is saying, the trial was set for next week and I want to go through with that date. I don't want to give you time to prepare. I need to get my name cleared because there's a big sale of my company going on and I got to be clear to this, blah, 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 blah. So the Lincoln lawyer is under so much stress to try to figure out what the hell is going on in this case. I need to get this guy off because my name will be sullied if I lose my first major case on the way back. And then along the way, it's a 10-episode series. Along the way, there's other little cases that he inherited from the attorney that died and left the business that he has to attend to and solve. One of the reasons my wife and I loved the show was because it really does display artful, for lack of a better way of putting it, lawyering. There are sequences where he talks about jury selection, where he talks about the importance of an opening statement, of having a brief opening statement as opposed to a long one. There's the importance of the closing statement, the importance of picking up body signals from witnesses and so forth. So it's almost like you're learning about being a defense attorney as you're going through the drama. The one complaint I have about it is that it did feel a little Law and Order-ish at certain points, but overall, if you like TV shows about crime and courtroom cases and so forth, I highly recommend the Lincoln Lawyer.
On John Grisham too, or
Michael Connolly wrote the books.
Okay.
And so now it's up to Netflix on whether they're going to bring the show back. I'm told that it was such a low budget show. There are no big major stars in it. I think the only big star on it is Neve Campbell from the Scream series and a couple of other good movies. She plays an attorney on this movie. She's the only recognizable star in the film. The lead role is actually played by a guy who was a popular actor in Mexico. Speaks perfect English, and my wife, of course, fell in love with him. Oh, he's so sexy and stuff. I want to see episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 69. And I'm like, okay, honey, cool it. But it's a good show if you like those types of movies. Michael Connolly wrote the books, and he wrote 6 of them based on the Lincoln Lawyer. So Netflix would have material for 4 more seasons if they, because the movie with McConaughey was based on book 1. This season of the first season of the series is based on book 2, and there's 4 other ones. Nomad saw it, and he's not impressed.
He doesn't like anything, though.
Nomad, come on.
He just likes the Bears.
Yeah.
Well, that's good enough for me.
The Rainmaker, kind of reminds me of. Did you ever see The Rainmaker with
love
Matt
that
Damon?
movie?
That's a good learning to be a lawyer type movie with a great story. I think that was Ford Coppola. Yeah.
Yes, that's an excellent. That's one of those movies that anytime it's on when I'm channel surfing, I stop and watch again. It's really good. You ever seen it again?
I have not.
Oh, you got to see that one, Dan. That's really good. What was his name? Rudy something. The Matt Damon's character. So,
I'm not.
Had Mickey Rourke and Danny DeVito.
Yes, Danny
I don't
DeVito.
like Mickey Rourke or Matt Damon.
Why?
I mean, you don't like Andrew McCarthy, and I liked him. Okay.
Well, Andrew McCarthy.
It's up to people's perception.
Andrew McCarthy was
really
the same
don't like
character every time, a doe-eyed beta male, right?
Yeah.
Andrew McCarthy. Who's always like, oh.
Yeah, just a second here. I want to know why Dan doesn't like Matt Damon. Yeah,
The Departed was off. He was excellent.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
Yeah, I like The Departed, but I like Jack Nicholson and Mark Wahlberg and DiCaprio though. So
sure, that was great. I mean, what's his? Martin Sheen was in that. That cast was freaking awesome.
Yeah,
for The Departed.
I can overlook Matt Damon being in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like Matt Damon.
Matt Damon was excellent in Elysium. Did you ever see Elysium?
That one I have not seen.
No, it's the God, what's the name? Neil Blomkamp. He did District 9. It was his follow-up, I think, to District 9, or he's really good in that, man. If you haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's a great director, that guy.
Matt Damon. It's like takes place in the future. Matt Damon gets locked into this like radioactive chamber accidentally, and he's like got a few days to live. Like the company doesn't give a shit. Oh, you were accidents happen, get the fuck out of here. And then he has to get to Elysium, which is where all the rich people live, including Jodie Foster, who's up there too. She's like the president of the rotating rich planet, and he ends up
he's going to be in True Detective now.
That's right. She's in season 4 of True Detective.
I love True Detective, man. I think all the seasons were damn good, man. All 3 of them. They all had their different. Yeah.
2 was my least favorite, but
I love 2.
1, 3, 4,
2 wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay. It was okay. I'm not a big fan of what's his name, Vince Vaughn.
I was emotionally invested in his death. I thought it was so well done how he's in all these people that mocked him when he was young, and his dad, like, I never fucking loved you, and all these people that were early in his life that were mocking him. And then he sees the woman and he thinks he's made it, but she's like, no, you can rest now. And he's like, there's no time to rest. And she's like, but baby, you stopped walking a mile ago. And he looks back and realizes he's bled out and he dies. Oh man, that was so fucking perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to die, but what a great fucking movie, or a great series, man. And Colin Farrell's death too, like his dad, he dreamt it earlier in the season, how he was going to die. And his dream, his dad told him he was going to get shot to death. And then he did. It's so fucking good, man.
Season 2 was kind of like I forget the name of the guy who's like the brainchild behind True Detective, Nicholas something. I can't remember his name, but
he's not involved in the new one though.
Yeah,
is he not? Okay. In season 2, it was kind of like he had like this kind of like sub story with like a Japanese director. It was like making fun of the first season's director, Kerry Joe Fujikawa, or whatever his name is, and he like wrote that into the thing. It's like, cause he didn't get along with that dude or whatever, it's like the behind the scenes story of, he wrote that character in there as kind of like a joke, but I don't think it went over that well, cause the other guy went on to do some pretty good stuff, directorially.
Mick Palazzoli.
Yeah. Something like that. Mick Palazzolo.
Yeah.
Interesting. Aldo, go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just going to say he's an interesting guy. What were you going to say, Dan?
Before I ran out of time, I got to tell you again. I'm selling this again. The fucking show on Stars, Gaslit.
Now,
about Watergate.
I went to watch it
again,
and I realized I'm not subscribed to Stars, so I gotta.
You want to use my login info?
No.
You can just download the app and use my login info. It was no big deal.
Yeah, no, I talked to my wife. We're going to order it, so because there's a bunch of things on Apple and Stars that we want to see, so we're going to go ahead and order.
You don't have Apple TV?
So good.
I don't have Apple TV, and I just bought a new iPhone, and it comes with 3 months of free Apple TV. But
it used to be a
I
year.
need a new fucking cable box in order to download the Apple TV app. So
yeah, well, you don't have like a Roku or Fire Stick or.
I don't, and I've been told I need to get it. So
Roku has a nice box. It's like you can what is it? 4K Ultra. It's only like $100 too for the Roku Ultra. It'll spit out full 4K HD, Dolby surround right into your smart TV and your sound system.
I need to get that because if I were to tell you how much we pay for cable, for Comcast cable here, you guys would tell me you are a fucking idiot. I mean, it is.
I doubt that. I pay a lot for DirecTV, so I'd be like, yo, I understand.
Yeah.
How much do you pay?
During Sunday ticket times, $250 a month. I'm about $205 or so without Sunday ticket.
Yeah, I got you beat only because we have a lot of TVs here, like in my stepdaughter's old room and the office and so forth. We've got like about 4 or 5 boxes, and so we're paying about $330 a month, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, you can cut some costs. Is it Amazon or Apple who's got Sunday ticket next year?
I think it's Amazon now, right?
Is it Amazon, Danny?
Yeah, they have Thursday night football, but that's independent of Sunday Ticket. DirecTV still has it in 2022.
Okay.
In 23, it's allegedly going to be Apple TV.
That's what I thought. It's Apple TV.
For the digital portion. They've not said if DirecTV will be able to maintain the over-the-air kind of presentation for bars and for people in smaller states that don't have great internet. Or for somebody like me that doesn't want to watch on my phone 4 plays behind, I'd rather be live watching it on my fucking television.
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
as live as you could possibly be. And I don't want to watch it on my phone. I don't know why millennials just want to watch TV on their phone.
That's why
I'm with you, Dan, on that.
So inexpensive now. My wife and I are thinking about going in on a 70. Going in on we would buy a 70-inch TV because they're like $600 now.
Yeah.
So we may have a new TV by the time you get here.
You can get the 70-inch Roku TV by TCL. I've got a 50-inch TCL Roku. You know, it has the Roku box built already into the TV, so you can just grab the apps. There's a whole bunch of other channels too, man. It's like watching some weird stuff recently. It's a channel called Shudder.
Oh, I've heard of that. I heard it's
cool.
good.
Some cool movies and stuff on there, but you got to watch. It has commercials, but
I've got it on. I thought I had it on DirecTV. That was Chiller that I had. Was Chiller? Yeah, Shudder's something you pay a small fee for.
Yeah,
I've seen it. You can get it as a standalone. Hey, before I go, last thing I want to say about because I don't want to spoil it for you. Gaslit, and then we left out a big thing here. We should have said early on. But Gaslit, I just want to stress that the actor who plays John Dean is fucking incredible. And that whoever the actor is playing G. Gordon Liddy is also doing a great job. But to me, John Dean, the guy that's playing Dean, carries the series even over Julia Roberts and Sean Penn.
Really?
I don't know who he is.
Wow,
I've
pretty
never
good
seen
cast.
him in
I'm gonna have
anything.
to check that out.
He's so good. He's so fucking good. And I love the girl that plays his wife too. She's incredible. But one of the things that we should have said early on is that we now have tickets for a second Bears game.
That
in
is right,
2022.
Barflies.
Wow.
I will be attending that final regular season game of Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. We got some nice seats. Dan's flying in for a day or two. Phone watchers will be blind in 30 years. You're right, Cliff.
Yeah.
People watch TV on their phone are crazy. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
To me, that's a last resort. You know, you're like on a plane or something. You know, for me,
Well,
it's
Dan,
like
Dan watches a lot of stuff on his phone, right, Dan?
No.
I thought you did when you were at work. You would watch movies.
No. I have it going to the work TV. I use the AirPlay and put it on the work TV.
God bless you. Years ago, my wife bought me a little portable DVD player. And back then, you know, when something new comes out, a nice new device, it costs $800, $1,500. It's super expensive. I used it like 2 or 3 times because the screen was like only about 4 or 5 inches, and that's no way to watch a movie. That's what I used to do when I was a kid. Now give me fucking 60 inches of 4K. That's what I want. By the way, real quick before we get back onto that topic, Barry on HBO, love it. Go ahead, Dan.
I haven't seen that yet. I guess I would be open to watching it. I just wanted to give the background on that Bears game with Minnesota because I was at work. Like today, I'm going to be working from midnight until 4 p.m. Then back at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night. So, and on shifts like that, at some point you're trying to stay awake. You're kind of just on your phone doing shit just to keep you occupied. And it was one of those situations like last week, and I was just, looking at Bears tickets just because, just not without any intention of buying any. And I was like, all of them, especially the Green Bay game, really high, as you can imagine. But I went to the last game just out of boredom, and the Minnesota game was so cheap. I was like, man, there's tickets there for $68, which in 2022 is extremely cheap. And so I looked at the flights, and hell, it was an economy flight, but hell, I was like, I can fly to Chicago and back that weekend for like $240. So I was like, well, fuck, I should do this game. So I hit you up on it, and I was like, would you be open to it? Because again, my selling point was to say the Bears could be fighting for a playoff spot. Think about it. Might be one of those games they flex to 3:30 Central, or maybe Sunday Night Football, or maybe it'll be a meaningless 4-13 game. I don't know. But
what's the date on that?
January the 8th.
Okay.
Fair
I've been to a Bears game. I've been to a Bears game in January. I almost died. It was so fucking cold.
I know. So Dan says, there's these seats for, what was it that you just said, Dan? They were what, $70 or something like that?
Yeah, there were some for $70 or $68 before fees now, because they're going to put the fees on it.
Right. They're nosebleed seats, right? And so I'm thinking fucking January 8th.
Everest.
No way if I'm going to be up there with icicles coming out of my nose. So I went online. I said, fuck it, man. I want the 200 level where you can get into the Cadillac Premier Club thing. So that way, if Dan and I are fucking freezing, we'll go inside and, watch a little from the tube, warm up a little bit, and go back out. And so I got these this is the view from our seats right in the end zone.
And he spent an incredible amount of money, which I'm incredibly appreciative of.
Oh man, but this is the way to do it, man. On a fucking cold day, absolutely. So we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna get there early, enjoy the Cadillac Premier Club, have some of the good food that they serve there, go out and watch the game. Dan says he no matter what the temperature is, he's going to be wearing shorts.
I usually have no problems. I've got man hair on my legs. My legs don't get cold. It's usually my hands or my ears that get cold. So I probably will wear a toboggan and gloves, but beyond that, I should be okay. I mean, again, if it's like fucking -2 degrees, then obviously I'll wear jeans or something. But if it's
pack some jeans,
I mean, if it's like 28 degrees or something, I'll be fine. Like with my legs, for real. I mean, if I stayed out all night or something, I could, it would hurt me. But for 3 hours, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm just excited about because the potential of that game. Right now, it looks like Bears' predictions to be so bad, it could be just the end of a forgettable season and all of that. But like I was telling Aldo, maybe this will be Kirk Cousins' final game as a Viking after the Bears beat them and make the playoffs, and they have to cut. They just give up on Kirk Cousins. It's this regime didn't sign him, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it gets flipped for us, and maybe this is good for us because we're always up there in January. Now they're finally coming here in the cold.
Tell you what, Nomad says that if you're gonna wear shorts on a 0-degree day, your dick is gonna fall off. And
well,
I agree
in
with
that
him.
regard, maybe I should cover up.
We got
Dan will be at that game in a Bears codpiece, Aldo.
That's right. Protect the jewels, man. Whatever you do. I the more and more I thought about it, Dan, the more and more I thought this game could really be interesting, even if they're not in the playoff hunt, because it's always that final game that gives you a little bit of a promise as to what the team could look like in the following year. So let's say that the Bears go into the game with a 7-9 record. Getting that 8th win would be so important for me, and seeing Justin Fields perform at a high level against a division rival would be so important to me. So there is significance to that game. Really, no matter what the win-loss record is for the team, again, it's that final game. I want to see everyone adhering to Coach Eberflus's hit philosophy, that they're hustling, that they're playing with the same enthusiasm that they appear to be in the OTAs and stuff. It's going to be a very important game. And so seeing it live, and we're thinking about maybe getting a hotel room downtown so that as soon as the game is over, we rush to the hotel room and do a live show. So more details on that. And, of course, what's the other game we're going to, Dan?
The other one's the Dolphin game, November 6th.
Right. And so we're setting up a meet and greet for Dan and Tooch. Hopefully we'll be in town as well, and we'll give you plenty of notice.
Well, don't cut yourself short here. They might want to meet you.
Fuck, nobody wants to meet me.
No. Our friend from last year was a big fan of yours.
King Pookie. He's a great guy.
Yeah, that was fun.
He was really, really happy to meet you. So
he's a good guy. Let's see. What else, Dan, you got on your mind in your last 5 minutes before you got to go save lives?
Well, like I said, I'm just really excited about that. I hope to see Walter's statue this time.
Yes.
I got to see George Hallis's statue last year, but we didn't get it. We weren't on the right side of the stadium to see Walter. So I hope to see that in one of the 2 visits that we're at.
Yeah, we'll definitely see the Payton Trophy. I'm embarrassed that after that game against the Lions last week, I couldn't find our way back to the car. I didn't know what the Payton statue was, and so I'm leading Dan and his dates around the stadium, making them walk and tracing back our steps because I got fucking lost. So
It was fine, man. It was a great. We had just won. Hell, I was so happy that we'd won. You could have said, we're going to walk aimlessly now for 3 hours. Get ready. I would have been fine.
But she didn't.
I didn't care. I was happy. I hope, I've said this before, but I guess I ask you as a question now. Does the United Center have Jordan era stuff?
The United Center have Jordan era stuff? You mean?
Yeah, out. Like, I know he's got a statue there, right?
Yeah.
But do they have things commemorating like the finals and stuff?
In the stadium inside the United Center. Yes. So we will.
Yeah, I want to see all of that.
Oh yeah, you'll see all the NBA final trophies. You'll see some cool stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. That's going to be a blast. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I definitely want to have my phone ready to record some of that shit, man.
Yes.
If you want, I'll wear an Isaiah Thomas jersey while I'm.
No,
I'm kidding. I have a Smashing Pumpkin shirt on, but. Yeah, I do. I really am looking forward to seeing the Jordan stuff, man. That, to me, like I said, that's the building he built, man. Not to be redundant, but that's the arena he fucking built.
Right.
So it's like it's sacred grounds,
I've got a homework assignment for you, Tooch, and for everyone following the show. Watch the 30 for 30 on the tuck rule. They did a really good, outstanding. I think it's the last one that came out. An outstanding 30 for 30 on the tuck rule.
I gotta see that.
They talked with Tom Brady at length. They also had on Charles Woodson,
and it was a fumble.
And I mean, the dialogue between these guys, the way they structured this documentary is, it's basically Brady and Woodson are watching the game over again, and so you're listening to their thoughts on the game. And when it gets to that play, I mean, I thought that Woodson was going to bitch slap Brady a couple times, but it besides the great storytelling that they did on that game, the other interesting thing to watch for is that Brady does a really good job of sort of being the co-host. And so for this big contract, that TV contract that he has, if they're going to use him like ESPN uses Peyton Manning, where he's delivering content outside of the play-by-play stuff, if they're utilizing him for documentaries like that, then I can see it perhaps being of value, because Brady, when he was at New England, he was never a very interesting guy. Now that he has left New England, has been with Tampa Bay, he's shit talking on social media. He's much more charismatic, for lack of a better word. So it could be interesting. Please, guys, watch this, and then we'll talk about it on next week's show.
All right, I look forward to that. And that game, that was so, like, I was so mad. That's the same day the Bears lost to the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's January 19th of 2002.
Well, I forget that. That's so true.
The Bears lost to the Eagles at 4:30 Eastern that day is when the game kicked, 3:30 Central. And the night game was Oakland at New England. And obviously I was going for the Bears, and then I was going for the Raiders. And that was a horrible day. And I was still really heavily invested in the Rockets. And the Rockets lost to New Jersey that night too on the road. So it's like, fuck, it was just a shitty fucking day.
Oh my God.
And that's the same day Jordan came back to Chicago as a member of the Wizards.
That I remember. And that was heartbreaking. Seeing Michael Jordan wearing another NBA jersey other than Chicago Bulls, that was just heartbreaking. Really.
What a day in sports, though.
Yeah, absolutely. See, fucking Dan, he needs to do his own 30 for 30s. All right, Dan, get on out of here. Save some lives, man.
Last thing I'll say for you as I go, I told you this in text. I was sitting at the house last night knowing I was about to work 20 hours tonight. So I wanted to take advantage of the time I had. And I don't know, enjoy watching old Super Bowl. So I watched Super Bowl 11 last night, and I was looking up some of the old players, and I did not realize that Daryl LaMonica had died, the Mad Bomber.
Mad Bomber.
He died earlier this year at age 80. I don't know how I missed that, even though he didn't play with the Raiders at that point.
Right.
But yeah, the most indelible moment, even on the highlights of Super Bowl 11 that Steve Sable cut, just to see a guy that was so good, you know, Chuck Foreman, there's a Viking losing his third Super Bowl in 4 years, and he's on the sidelines crying. Like, it just shows you there's so many college fans, especially here, because we don't have a pro team, that'll tell you shit like, the pros, they don't care about anything but money. There's no passion. There's no heart, like at West Virginia University or whatever. Like, get the fuck out of here. But just to see a guy on the sidelines crying just because it's so hurtful. He lost another Super Bowl. Like, to me, that really resonated with me. Like, I felt so badly for him, even if it was January of 77. And one more thing, they were showing the new Dodge Ram that was about to come out that year, or had just come out. And you could have purchased that for less than $4,000. I think times have changed.
Yes, they have.
You can't fill up your fucking Dodge Ram full of gas for under $4,000.
How true is that? All right, man. Get on out of here, and we'll talk to you next week. That's Dan Aguirre, ladies and gentlemen. Dan,
bye, Danny.
Let people know your Twitter account.
It's Bears fan. Wait a minute. It's Bears fan Dan, but there's an underscore too.
Yeah.
God, I've only had it 13 years or something. Let me look at it. It is Bears fan underscore Dan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Follow Dan because he doesn't tweet much, but when he does, it is beautifully written. Do you sometimes stare at your Twitter account and decide how to compose your tweet?
No, usually I end up going too quickly and just like, I shouldn't have said that. Well, you can't edit it now. Fuck it, it's gone.
Well, if what's his name ends up buying this, Elon Musk, he wants to put an edit button in. So
I'll give him that. That's good.
That is great. Trust me.
Last thing I should say before I go, and I really do need to go, but Retro Movies and TV reached out to me last week, and maybe you all can hit on this as I leave.
Yeah, good.
But
guy.
I told him, I said, I'll let them know, being you two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this verbatim and get out of here. Dan, I just wanted you to know that personally I like you a lot. Let me get this out immediately. I was 100% behind what you said at the beginning of the latest show. Honestly, I don't remember what that was at this point. Aldo, I felt crossed some lines, and Tooch took it like a victim on the last show. Possibly wrong terms, but that's how I feel. It's just my opinion. I'm not judging. Aldo and I are so similar in some aspects. I'm a hot-tempered guy. I can totally relate to his frustration. He wasn't wrong in his beliefs, but how he went after Tooch I thought was wrong. In Aldo's defense, he did apologize.
No, come on. There's nothing to forgive, Aldo.
No. I was
Stop
wrong.
yourself.
No.
Well, I told
Fuck
this guy
you, Tooch.
I told this guy I would tell you all this, though, but to finish it out, he understands that he is fallible and would like to be better. I'm in the same boat. I have far often said things in anger or frustration that I shouldn't have. Not an excuse, but acknowledgement of my limitations. I was so relieved that you, Aldo, and Tooch could resume the show. Otherwise, you couldn't have. Anyway, I give you all my blessings. So I said, look, I
nice guy.
Tell him I was also relieved, and I've had my moments that were bad too. Aldo's a great guy. So, but I told him I would tell you all on air. So I promised him, and there it is.
Fuck you!
I let all this stuff go. I can't hold on to stuff like that. There's nothing to forgive.
Yeah,
it's just Aldo and I are like brothers.
We are. I mean, and that's how I talk to my brother.
Dan and I are like brothers. I'll text Dan some weird shit, just forgetting all about what we said previously. Like the chest hair sweater. Oh, damn.
Right. Well, guys, I gotta go. I'll see you all later. I promised that gentleman Retro Movies and TV I'd tell you, so I did.
There he is. He's just in the chat. He says, I'm here. Guess it's ironic time. It's great that you're here, Retro. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dan Aguirre. Follow Dan on Twitter at BearsFan_Dan. He is a great follow, and I want to get Dan on Cameo because Dan's great voice. I mean, imagine you hire him for $10, $5, whatever on Cameo, and he could spit out some incredible stuff. Happy anniversary to Chicago Bears fan, Nomad. He could do some incredible stuff, and with some proper marketing, we can get some extra money, so that way he can be able to afford some long pants when he comes to Chicago. The idea of wearing shorts, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
There's all big guys. They stay warm in cold weather. I see a lot of big guys.
That's true.
Wearing shorts. My son wears shorts in the winter. He's a big guy.
Really?
I'm like, how the hell, dude? I can't.
I'll wear them in the winter to go out and get the mail, and then run back in.
That's it. Yeah, run back in. Yeah, I was in the chat room. A couple things is like people are saying Matt Nagy gone is like maybe a game or 2 or 3. And like a lot of people are like Matt Nagy is an ass hat, and I'm like, I got to correct that. Although he's an ass visor.
That's right. Well noted. And, yes,
reference.
I might use that. So if there's no attribution in future tweets, let everybody know that is a John Santucci genius thought.
I was watching the Norm Macdonald special.
The great Norm Macdonald.
It's good. It's a bit bittersweet, because it's posthumous, and if you're a Norm Macdonald fan, as I know Dan Aguirre, we didn't get to talk about this maybe next week, because he's a big Norm Macdonald fan as well, and I got to tell you, I couldn't get through it all in one sitting because it's just him. It's just him rambling a lot, talking, just basically just thoughts coming out of his head, not a lot of organization to it, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it's like you're sitting around rapping with this guy, or he's doing most of all the talking. He is doing all the talking, but if you were just sitting around talking with, having a conversation with Norm Macdonald, that's what the special is like, But
he's one of those guys I would have loved to have sat down and have a talk. So I'll definitely look for that. Have you seen the new Ricky Gervais comedy special that's getting all the controversy about
I haven't.
trans?
Not yet. There was so much stuff, Aldo. The man who fell to earth came back. So I immediately watched that. I like the episode.
That episode, Tooch, was the best one so far.
I think so. Yeah. I knew that lady was his imagination. That was. And I can't remember the actress's name, but I've seen her before. Do you know what her name is? Is it?
I do know
her freaking name. She's in a ton of movies.
Yes.
In fact, I think she was in the Harry Potter movies as well. I can't remember her name, but she's excellent in it.
Yeah, she really is. That entire cast is really good.
Yeah,
and
great cast.
Smart science fiction. For those of you who don't know, it's on Showtime. The Man Who Fell to Earth. Please pronounce the lead actor's name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, outstanding actor. Everything he's ever been in has been good, and it's great to see him have a starring role on a 10-part series.
Did you feel his? Okay, he was losing his shit.
Yes, he was.
He was like, I can't solve this. It's like, and we hadn't seen that from him at all.
Yeah,
throughout the show, he's been kind of like, with his straightforward purpose. This time he's just like, maybe I'm not supposed to, he was in full out panic mode.
He was. And
that was a great episode.
Yeah. It's nice when you get these series and the characters go through changes and you see more depth to their characters. It's one of the reasons I like the Lincoln Lawyer. Besides all the legal stuff that you learn in legal strategy, the characters all go through their own character arcs that are very fascinating and interesting.
Right. You mentioned Stranger Things, which I freaking, my wife and I would that was all we watched for like 2-3 nights. We just binge through it. Because it's so good, man. If you grew up in the 80s like I did, it's like right here. I mean, for me at least, it's like they're going back in time. There's all these nods to 80s, pop culture, whether it's music, whether it's the set design, whether it's the movies of the time, and all the language, or just stuff that was going on at the time. It's really great. And then the Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped the first 2 episodes. That freaking killer! I'll tell you, they got a little kid that playing Princess Leia as like a 8-year-old, and she's like a little miniature Carrie Fisher. Her like face, it's wild, man. The perfect casting for this little kid. She does like the Carrie Fisher kind of like looks, facial expressions and mannerisms and speech.
Mm-hmm.
It's really quite good, man. It's got
I've
a great
been thinking
cast.
about seeing that. I haven't really kept up with the Star Wars films after the Jar Jar Binks fiasco.
It's in between. The Obi-Wan Kenobi has gone into hiding, and he's keeping an eye on Luke Skywalker, who's about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And Kumail Nanjiani is in it too, the comedian. He's really freaking funny in this. It's great.
Okay.
It's like and then they have some other good cast members too, and the story is really good. Is he like, he's protecting, goes on a mission to save Princess Leia, who's been abducted. Abducted by the bassist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's the bad guy in the first couple episodes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And does it look like they spent money on the production values?
Oh man, they go all out for these little mini series that they do. They spend a shit ton of money. They're really good. The Boba Fett one was awesome. The Mandalorian is top budget, great casts. It's really great, man. And Disney puts a lot of stuff. I think Ewan McGregor's a producer in this too, and he's the star of it as well. It's great. And then that's about it. I was gonna say if we were to get back to Bears, I know Jordan's in the chat room. Bears, the story broke about the Commanders telling teams that Daron Payne might be available for trade. So should the Bears pursue him, because he'd probably fit that. I know he's probably, we could ask Jordan. He's probably not exactly a 3 technique, but he did have a lot of pressures, 4.5 sacks. He was in the top 18, I think, in quarterback pressures from the interior of the defensive line. And if the Commanders were to let him walk, they would probably get like a 4th round pick compensatory. So would a 3rd round draft pick maybe get the deal done, or a 3rd and maybe a 6th, or 5th, maybe get the deal done for Daron Payne? That might. Here he is. 25
years old. He's entering the 5th and final year of his rookie contract.
Yep.
So a trade for him would also mean that the Bears would have to work with his agent to sign a multi-year contract. You don't want to trade draft assets for a guy who's going to play 1 season and leave. So it could get a little complicated. But polls did open up the purse strings for Ogunjobi. Maybe Payne is the guy that could step in. Jordan says, yeah, Payne is awesome, but not going to likely be cheap, and this team isn't a piece away. Yeah, you're right.
At 25 years old, though, he could be a piece for quite a long time, though. That's my thing. But still, it's going to cost you draft picks and cash, in a new contract. I get what you're saying.
But you're right. I mean, if you can, well, I don't think you can. I'll ask you and Jordan and anyone else in the chat. Could you sign a Payne for the type of dollars that you signed Ogunjobi before the deal fell through? What was that deal for Ogunjobi? $50 million? Yeah, I think Payne might demand more.
He's going to be more like $70 million, but
yeah,
maybe 5 years, $70 million, $75 million.
It would be a testament to how important that 3 tech position is if they were to trade draft assets and invest tens of millions of dollars in Payne. It is a great topic. We should explore that more.
Yeah, and then I wanted to chime in on the whole Jalen Johnson running with the second stringers. Please. I'm like, Kendall Vilder is not the guy, folks. It's like, this is just it's purely punitive.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say? I mean, Jalen Johnson's going to be the starter. Nothing to worry about.
I agree. I think they were rewarding Kendall for being there, and Jalen didn't arrive the very first day. So there's nothing. There's no way that Jalen Johnson is going to start as a second stringer at start the season as a second stringer. There's just no fucking way. But he does have some catching up to do, and so that's a way to get him to commit more to the team. And I listened to Jalen Johnson's press conference that he held a week or two ago. He sounds totally invested. I think any issues that I was concerned about, like for instance, that last play, that play in game 17 where he didn't tackle the ball carrier who was down, I think that was an abnormality. He should be fine. I do think that the coaches are taking the right approach. Let's not give anybody a pass. Everybody's got to work for it. That's the way to coach this team. I love what Eberflus is doing in terms of taking that CEO role with the team and overseeing the whole thing. So
refreshing.
I'm with you, Tooch. I'm with you on that.
And you know, there were two guys who kind of needed that breath of fresh air that Eberflus is bringing in the secondary. But besides Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson is another guy that needs that breath of fresh air. Let's see what happens with him. And then I wanted to talk about the Akiem Hicks signing with the Buccaneers, and 6 of his 10 years in the league were with the Bears. And he had 31 sacks, 88 quarterback hits, 51 tackles for loss in 77 games over 6 seasons. So played about 13 games a season, but it definitely 31 sacks checks in as 19th most in franchise history.
Wow. Yeah, in that clip that I used for the Akiem Hicks highlight video, at the end he talked about what it meant from when he heard from the veterans like Dan Hampton about how good he was, and he said, those are the guys who are important to me because they played the game, they know what it takes, and so forth. And he listed Hampton, one other player, and then after a few seconds, he interrupted a question and he added Richard Dent's name. He said Richard Dent also paid him compliments. And so, when those superstar Bears tell you, you're playing really, really good, that's gotta feel so special, man. It's gotta feel special.
Hell yeah.
Hey, any other Bear stuff that you got? Because I wanted to ask you about the NBA Finals and where I should put my money.
Oh man, okay. This is going to be an interesting NBA Finals, and in fact, the NHL Conference Finals started tonight, and I had the over 7 for the hockey game with the Edmonton Oilers versus the Colorado Avalanche. It was a football score, Aldo, 8-6.
Ooh, really?
Man, if I would have taken like over 10 goals, I probably would have gotten like plus 400 on that bet. But I was like 7. Man, 7's a lot of goals, but. It's the Avalanche and the Oilers. It was, Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid, man. It's fucking, scorers, dude. But I took the over. I've been in a funk, man. It's like baseball is the toughest. To me, baseball is the toughest, man. I just lose my ass on baseball. So I took a timeout, from baseball just to focus on NHL, which I've been doing pretty good at this year, and NBA, and then. The NBA Finals with the Warriors. You have a team that's done it, been there, done that. A lot of veterans who have playoff experience and finals experience. And then you got the Boston Celtics, and they have no playoff experience on the team. So both teams, man, the Boston Celtics are the number 1 defense in the NBA. So you're going to have, and then Warriors are they're the number 1 offense for offensive efficiency. There's guys who can score from anywhere. You bottle up Stephen Curry. There's other guys to shoot the rock, and it's going to be interesting now. During the playoffs, Golden State's undefeated at home. So game ones, I usually, like I said last time, I usually like to lay off game 1, but I think I might take a stab on the Warriors at -3.5. Just maybe buy the half a point and get it to -3.
I like that.
And play that first play. And then, it's the game 2, I could see the Celtics, coming to they usually make the adjustment after a game, where they'll play some tough defense and figure out something. And then, the other team will adjust. Maybe Golden State will but Golden State has not been that great on the road. They had some problems with the Grizzlies.
That's what I learned today. Yeah.
So, as far as winning the whole series, I have no idea. I've been making more money betting on the props. Marcus Smart over 3.5 rebounds. They kept setting that. Vegas kept setting it over 3.5 rebounds. He kept hitting it every time, man. I don't know. I must have hit it 4 times in a row on that one. So then Jaylen Brown over 6 rebounds. That was a good one. He kept hitting that. And 20 plus points for Brown, or I've been making more money on the props for NBA. There's a good website if anybody's interested. It's called Sports Chat Place, and they have a betting tools app. You can kind of use the drop downs to figure out how often this prop
that's cool
hits. Yeah, Sports Chat Place, and the betting tools are pretty good for props. You can set it to rebounds or points or combos or assists or whatever, and see, you could set it last 5 games, last 10 games, all the playoffs, all regular season, and just kind of like get a picture of what the playoffs, and then it'll give you the odds too. So it's a pretty good website. And that's why I've been, and I'm not trying to parlay a bunch of picks. Just one straight wagering is it's hard because everybody loves the parlay.
Yeah, that's my sin. Yeah,
that's like buying a lottery ticket. You see guys like they'll post their ticket on Twitter, like somebody picked the exact score of the last game. They put I forget how, put $16 down. It paid like $4,200 picking the exact score of the last Celtics and Heat game. So, but that rarely happens, folks. Just that's like you get a scratch off and you win $1,000. How often does that happen? It's the same thing. But I think I like Golden State in Game 1. They've been there, they've done that. They're undefeated at home. Boston's going to fly across the country, and then try and take on an experienced Golden State Warriors team that can shoot the lights out. But they play some good defense. Boston, I think it'll be interesting. And then hockey, got the Avalanche and the Oilers, and then tomorrow night will be the Lightning and the Rangers, who upset the Hurricanes on their home ice last night.
How about that?
I faded myself in that game last night. I was like, boy, the Hurricanes are undefeated at home, but man, the Rangers. I want to take the Hurricanes so badly, and I said, I'm gonna take the Rangers at plus 120, and they won. So it was lucky.
And they won easily, right?
They won.
Correctly,
They won by 2, I think, and they'll be going into Tampa Bay Lightning, who they're the defending champions, and Vasilevsky in goal for the Lightning. He's pretty tough. I think I like the Lightning in that series, especially with home ice. They're playing so good. They shut out the Panthers. They swept the Florida Panthers, who are a good scoring team, and they shut out the Panthers in the last game. So I like the Lightning to win that series. I don't think it's plus money anymore for that one, but the Avalanche and Oilers, that's going to be a great series. I think the Avalanche won tonight's game 8-6, and both teams don't really have good goalies. So I mean, I like the Lightning again this year. Vasilevsky is really good, man. And then they play defense, and they can score, the Lightning. So they're not world champs for a reason. So
Bar Down Hockey Talk tomorrow at 2:00. You'll get the Parisi and Frank. Vinny,
my guys.
Yeah, your guys.
Hanover Park Little League boys.
There you go. They'll have a good take on the Stanley Cup Finals and conference championships. Hey, I want to get this question in before we say good night. Bear Truth 9 wants to know, who would you pick, Singletary or Urlacher? Why don't you answer that one first, and let my brain work on it, because that's a tough question.
It's a tough question, man. I think Urlacher was a guy that could cover the deep middle, man. He'd drop back into coverage, made it so hard for quarterbacks to throw, because he was long, he's like 6'5", long arms, and he was so fast.
Yep.
I probably, you can't. Singletary's heart, is just huge.
Yep.
And he's so smart, but I think I would take Urlacher just because of the physical. Urlacher was a smart player too, man.
Yeah, I think Urlacher in today's style of play, because he had the pass cover skills. He was a better sideline-to-sideline player than Singletary. Now, if you're going to play against Jerome Bettis, I don't want Urlacher anywhere near Jerome Bettis. I want Mike Singletary. If you're going to play a team that can run the ball well, then you want Singletary in there. And
what was the name of that guy? The Packers running back, to say, I got to get faster so I can run away from 54. I forgot the guy's name, the running back on the was before Aaron Jones.
That's a good one,
what
man.
was his name, man?
I bet you fucking Dan would know that immediately.
I think he was on the Seahawks before he was on the Packers.
Yeah.
What was his name, man?
Yeah. Somebody help us out here in the chat, because that is a good one. That's a good trivia question.
Yeah.
Brad Truth 9 goes on to say Singletary had that Ray Lewis in him, and he did. Singletary was a warrior. He's a little undersized, but he was very, very smart. This guy would put in 40 hours a week in film study. And so that allowed him to play very fast because he knew what the offense was doing, the opposing offense was doing. And he was just a fantastic player. But, I think the real answer to the question kind of lies in what you have around you. If you've got other linebackers on the team who can take care of the sideline stuff, and you can just have Singletary patrolling in between the tackles, then maybe that's the way to go. But Urlacher, for the modern day game, Urlacher was better. But Urlacher, running backs would go straight at Urlacher, and that was his
dude's name was Amon Green.
That's him. Outstanding pass catcher.
Yep.
I gotta believe that during the course of his time with Brett Favre, he probably caught 40% of Brett Favre's passes. He was a fantastic outlet.
Yeah, it's fast too.
Yep. Jordan says that Greg Gabriel will tell you Urlacher was the piece that truly unlocked the scheme. I think Greg will be right if he said that. I absolutely do.
Yeah, he also loved Lance Briggs too, though. He talks about Briggs all the time.
Yeah,
that was playing the will.
Yeah, that's somebody he holds very dear to himself in terms of what he did for the Chicago Bears organization. Yep. All right, Dan. Tooch, let people know where they can reach you on the social media channels and stuff like that. How come your name is not popping up? Oh, I know why. I got to get rid of that. Boom. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, at John Santucci VIP, and I'll kind of take a little break from giving out free picks because, man, I was on a little bit of a cold streak, so I was just like, look, it's base. This is a terrible time.
It really is.
Pretty soon, I mean, there'll be no hockey, there'll be no basketball. It's really just baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got soccer. To me, those are the two hardest,
right,
for sports wagering. Baseball, I mean, like last night, I was like, okay, I had a bet on the Dodgers, and Walker Buehler going for the Dodgers against the Pirates, who suck. One of the worst teams in the major leagues. Mm-hmm. You got the Dodgers, arguably one of the, if not the Dodgers' best pitcher, perennial Cy Young candidate, Walker Buehler going again. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the Dodgers, minus 1.5 on the run line. And the Pirates won outright. He got hammered. He gave up 4 runs in like the first 2 innings. They mounted a comeback, but Craig Kimbrell, who was on the Cubs and the Sox, gave it up in the last inning. So ended up losing.
That's the thing about betting today. MLB is pitching has changed so much. You don't have starters going past the 5th, 6th inning.
Right.
And years ago, you would bet primarily on the pitchers. That's the first thing you would look at. What are the matchups? And you're factoring in that they would probably go 7, 8, 9 innings. And you no longer have that. So you're betting on bullpens, and that's really hard to bet on because you don't know who the manager is going to use. It just takes so much work to bet on Major League Baseball. I'm with you.
They do, the thing is, it's like Vegas has to offer all, it is, man. I'll wake up at like 3 a.m. and start capping games for my weekend pass. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, look, dude, it's like, I'm taking a break because I could give people a lot more for their money, when football and college basketball start up, college football, college basketball, and NFL. Like right now, I can't, I can't. Baseball, it doesn't matter what you do. It's just, bad teams can beat the good teams, It's hard. So hard.
Prop bets, like you said earlier, prop bets on baseball, I feel even more confident on. Like, for instance,
so do I.
I'll look at, where the wind's blowing out. If the wind's blowing out at Wrigley Field, then I'm going to take a risk that somebody's going to hit one out for the Cubs, I'll pick up a ball player and bet a few bucks on that. Or if the team, if they've got the team choice,
Yeah, the team total runs. That's a good bet.
Yeah,
like if you pick over, team to score over a few runs. Like tonight, I really looked hard at the Mets over 5.5, and I should have just jumped on it because I love to fade Patrick Corbin on the Nationals. He's just terrible. As a gas can, and I didn't pull the trigger. I'm just like, I'm kind of taking a break, but man, that would have been the great bet because 10-0 Mets. Mets are red hot. I don't know why I didn't do it. And then the props, the hits. If you over, all you have to do is look at, usually the bet is over or under one hit. A player to get a hit. You could go 2 hits more. You get higher odds. But just to get a hit, then you can look on, if you go to MLB.com, they'll show the matchup against the starting pitcher. It doesn't always work, but it'll hit. And like I said, Sports Chat Plays has all those matchups as well. How often this player hits against so-and-so pitcher. So you can kind of get a feel for that. And then shots on goal for NHL or, points, it's usually over 0.5 point. So if they get an assist or a goal, guys like Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon tonight, lighten it up. Tonight would have been a great night to take over 1.5, points tonight, because you're getting plus odds on that. But, I don't know who foresaw an 8-6 game in hockey tonight, because people are like 7 goals. Boy, that's really a lot of goals. It was 6.5. What is Vegas trying to tell me, but the number was going up and up and up. You play the over, you get to.
Bear Truth 9 has a closing question for us. Who was the better safety duel? Is there a better safety duel for the Bears other than Mike Brown and Tony Parrish? I will say Gary Fensick and Doug Plank.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Hard to beat that.
Yeah, they were outstanding. And
another guy that studied film all the time, Fensick.
Very, very. He was at Hallis Hall recently. I don't think he got a chance to talk to the Bears like Tillman did, which that video is available over at the Chicago Bears website and on their YouTube channel. A great little speech by Tillman, getting the players psyched up, getting those young players psyched up for playing NFL football. I think Fensick would be another guy who could share some words of wisdom to players.
Long time Fensick rumored for a long time to be a candidate for a Bears executive, where it was general manager or whatnot. Never got the chance. I almost thought he would have made a good NFL executive, whether it was for the Bears or another team. Smart guy, but I don't know what did he do after the Bears. I know he did some like commentary or announcing, whether it was preseason games or, but man, I almost thought he would have made a good GM.
I agree with you. I think he's in finance now, making lots of money. Whatever Gary Fensick is doing now, he's very successful at it. All right, Tooch, let people know where they can follow you on that social media stuff.
Yeah, at John Santucci VIP. I'll probably get back into it. I think maybe with tomorrow night's game, have a free play. I'm thinking about just giving out the free plays now as we'll wind down here. And but boy, I tell you, once college basketball comes around, that's where I make most of my money, because I really do study college basketball a lot, and that's where I usually make some good money on college basketball. And NFL's tough, and we should talk about over under wins. Maybe Jordan Silvera would like to talk about that too. But there's some good. I'm looking at a few of these matchups, of teams over under wins for the season, as far as from a gambling, like the Chargers over. I like that. The Raiders might be better this year too. It's might take a Chiefs under. I don't even know how good the Chiefs will be this year. I think they'll take a step back without Tyreek Hill. I mean, they'll still be good and stuff, and they built up their defense and stuff. But don't be selling that. Well, my thing is like, anybody subscribing to my picks, man, I care about. I don't want to lose, man. And people are buying my card. I'm going to make sure that I give them my best picks. Yeah. There's a lot of people on Twitter. It's hard. People will buy picks and be like, you didn't win every pick. It's like, come on, dude, who does? Nobody does. Like the best gamblers in the world lose 43% of the time. Nobody's winning all the over every single bet more than 57%. It's just nobody. Maybe one guy out there, you know.
Well, and that's what North has told me for the years I've
Yeah.
been associated with him here at the bar room. You know, it's tough, and he's the one that told me about baseball being almost a fool's bet nowadays.
Yeah, it is so hard.
Yeah.
Every year it's hard. I lose my ass in baseball. That's why I shut it down for a little bit here. But you know, I'll probably, as soon as like hockey and basketball, I'll probably turn the app off or archive the app for a little bit. You know, go DraftKings. But I mean, DraftKings makes it so tempting. They give you these bonus. Here's a 1 game 100% profit boost. You know, it doesn't have to be a parlay. Just to lure you back. You know, like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go my bet, and I'll like put a bet down and win that, and then you get sucked right back into it. You gotta be careful to shut it down, you know.
Yep.
So, no, we'll never wager more than you can afford to lose.
Yeah. All righty, Tooch, you super sensational as always. Make sure you follow Tooch at John Santucci VIP. Follow Dan at BearsFan_Dan. Follow the Barroom Network. If you do follow the Barroom Network, I will always post on that Twitter feed when we are going live, what we're going live. You can see some of those shows on the Twitter feed, or you can subscribe here at the YouTube channel. And if you have a Google account, you subscribe here at the YouTube channel, and you will get alerts every time there is a live show. And tomorrow we've got 3 live ones at 2 o'clock, Bar Down Hockey Talk at 7 p.m. It's the Mac and Reed Show. Those guys would be talking all Chicago sports and some rap music, some pop culture stuff. And then at the 9 p.m., it's Science Fiction. We're talking some more Marvel stuff. I don't believe Dan Aguirre is going to be on that show. Jordan, you are awesome. And by the way, Jordan and I are talking about him doing a special where he's going to break down some tape for us. So watch for that pretty soon. Jordan and I got a meeting to discuss that, and Nomad is also working on some stuff for the bar room. So
wow, nice,
pretty exciting stuff happening here at the Bar Room Network. And so for all of us at the network, thank you all for watching, and we will see you here either tomorrow or maybe next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomse. Bear down.